Even by Ron and Fez standards, 2012 has been a weird, weird year. And we're only 6 months in. This is Ron and Fez's Half Year in Review. One of our favorite shows of 2012.
Keep me out of it, homie.
Starts
Come on.
now.
Robber. Hey, it's Pepper Hicks, producer for the Ron and Fez Show. We're in Best Of. And we're looking back at the best of the year so far. That's right. This fucked up year is half over. And the Mayans are going to wipe this fucker straight off the map. But hey, that's neither here nor there, because right now you're listening to the best of Ron and Fez. Coming up in this first segment, it's a time Ron and Fez saw their old buddy Matt Geiger at a Tampa Bay Devils game. Now, he attempted to grab a foul ball. Now, is that good baseball etiquette at the stadium? You're going to have to listen to find out what the answer to that is. Also, we're going to talk a little concussion on the Good Question from the ibang.com. That's coming up next on the best of Ron and Fez.
Ron and Fez.
Okay, let's get down to it, Boppers.
I don't know, where to begin. We are North Americans, and for those
buddies, it's the Ron and Fez Show. What science now tells us is a Tuesday booze day.
That's right. Let's go. Come on. What's stopping us, right, everybody?
You got the twos. Time to grab your booze.
Me, Hoda, fucking Kathy.
You are like them so much.
I'd like to go on that show and drink wine with them for an hour.
You'd like to go and drink wine with Charlie Manson. What's the big difference?
That'd be cool, too.
Actually, when's the last time you sat down and drank a bottle of wine?
Shit. It's been a few months since I actually I housed a bottle of wine.
I just find that, we're going to extensively drink wine, a way of saying, I need a diuretic. I mean, it's just it just tears up your stomach.
Oh, yeah, next day I'm fucking shitting liquid and just barely anything there.
Because I guess you've basically drank something that's spoiled. I don't even know how to explain wine, but it's old and should have been thrown out. And that's why you can get drunk on it.
Goes good with meat, though, what they tell me.
Or fish, depending on the wine. All right, it is the Ron and Fez Show, 866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. A lot to do today. Let's jump into the iBang Wire stuff. And right off the bat, Hicks, you should like this one. It's a controversy in Tampa starring ex-NBA player Matt Geiger.
Oh, shit.
Now, Matt Geiger is an old buddy of Fez of mine.
Oh, nice.
From Florida. And it was fun for me to turn on, I don't know, I guess it was either SportsCenter or PTI last night, and see this play where Matt Geiger suddenly finds himself in the middle of a baseball game. But just give it a hit there as we go along.
Okay.
Here's one of those lazy foul balls down first base line, and there's a big 7-foot fan sticking his paw in the way. Now, we'll stop it there. Matt, of course, even though the ball's in foul territory, and you're looking maybe 8 to 14 inches in foul territory, maybe even a little more than that because it's in the stands.
Yeah.
They still made him move his seat.
Oh, come on.
Tampa, a little more polite than most places. They had to move his seat. Fez, this is your home team.
Yeah.
what would you have done with Matt Geiger?
I would have left him alone. I would have left him right where he was. I wouldn't move him.
I'm just going to explain something to you guys, because I know you're not a baseball fan, Fezzy.
No.
And Hicks is a Yankees fan, which is, well, the rich people sit up there, so whatever they want to do is okay by us. In baseball, and your father teaches you this when you're a kid, when the ball comes into foul territory, if the home team is in the field, you're backing away. Not only as you're backing away, you're taking both fucking arms and sticking them out so nobody else can get in. You're protecting your first baseman, third baseman, catcher to make this fucking catch.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, if it's fucking playable like that, he should have caught that ball. Really, I mean, that's what
easy. Pena fucking thinks right now. That was my ball to catch till a 7-footer fucking swatted at it. Now, I'm not going to call the guy Bartman like I heard him called before, because it's not the playoffs. But you can see he actually battles for the ball here.
His hands in Pena's glove.
He's a fan. He paid for those seats.
He's a fan of what?
Baseball, I guess.
Baseball is going on. So if you're an actual fan of baseball, you push it back and allow the guy to make the fucking catch because you're a fan of that team. Now, I'll show you something else, too. As we stop here for just a second, you see Geiger's just fucking humiliated in this. As he starts to head out, and they're making him go in other places. They're making him move his seat. The fans around him are slapping him 5, saying hi to him all. This is Tampa. This team has actually made it to the World Series before.
Yeah.
And yet, the baseball fans do not understand the game of baseball, and they're acting like, hey, Matt, good to see you, buddy. You've got some celebrity attached to you.
There you go.
Instead of, what the fuck are you doing? You think you could have got away walking through a Philly fucking crowd like this? A Boston crowd?
You get killed. It would be assault.
At least explain to him the rules of baseball. All right, 866-RON-0-FEZ. 866-RON-0-FEZ. We've got a poll up on it right now. And I'm going to tell you the truth, Fezzy. We're about a 50-50 right now between people who think nothing is more important than getting a free baseball that they will never fucking use, and actual baseball fans.
Could Geiger realistically just go back into the locker room and hang out with these guys?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
everybody's happy to see an ex-athlete show up. You know, first of all, baseball, we've got 162 games, so it's not like showing up in football locker room where everybody's wired. You just go, hey, I'm Matt Geiger. I used to play basketball. Could I come out and take batting practice today? Sure, Matt. We'd love to see you.
All right, so there was no reason for him to grab that
No
ball.
reason at all. Also, you notice that he doesn't have a little kid with him. The only reason
by himself.
that anybody wants baseball is because they got a little kid for him. There's no fucking reason for a grown-ass man to be battling for a baseball. That's not the point of it. Let's go over to Dan. Dan, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Matt was on your old station 620 down here in Tampa this morning, and he said when he got to the top of the steps, an old lady in a wheelchair called him an asshole.
That old lady in the wheelchair must have been from a northeastern city because she understands the way that you're supposed to act at a fucking home game. You know, you want to win the game. 866-RON-0-FEZ. 866-RON-0-FEZ. I'm going to read some of these things off. Just let the actual player catch the ball. What's your problem, Fezzy, when you have the first baseman, what's his name again?
Carlos Pena.
Now, who's your second baseman?
I don't know.
So you just read that Carlos Pena was the first baseman. You didn't know that of your home team?
No.
Why would you want somebody to interfere with Pena on that?
I wouldn't want someone to interfere, but
that's what he did, and you said he has every right. He's a fan.
Yeah, he has every right. Those are his seats. If a ball goes into a foul territory, a fan can grab it, right?
The reality of it,
the ball's not on the field. The ball's in the stands.
This is how far is it into the stands?
I would say maybe a foot.
Now, is it a playable ball? Could Pena have made this catch?
Yes.
Not only
Easily, actually.
could he have made the catch, he should have made the fucking catch. Now, I think they were playing the game against who? The Rangers?
I don't know.
If that's who they're fucking, the Jays, the Rangers,
dude.
whatever,
They're
some
playing Twins.
fucking American League team. Then swat away at the ball, let your fucking beer spill, whatever you do, be an asshole fan, because then again, you are still trying to put your team over. You're not trying to destroy your team. I'm going to read some of the stuff in here. He's a dick. What a dick steroid user. I don't know about that. This happened again at Wrigley yesterday near the exact Bartman seat. Look it up. There's baseball in Tampa Bay. That's actually the way the people in Tampa Bay feel about it. Let's go over here to Robert. Robert, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Ronnie, I hate to say it, but I think you've lost perspective on going to the ballpark.
Well, give it to me.
The antenna bank says the ball is about a foot into the stands.
Yeah.
That's his ball if he wants it, man.
Not a single fucking baseball fan in history would say that about the fucking home team's ball. Nobody.
As soon as that ball's coming towards you, you turn into a kid again.
No fucking way.
You gotta have the ball.
No fucking way in the world. First of all, not only would, if it turned me into a kid again, I would have fucking leaned back. I would have fucking leaned back.
This ball is even less than a foot, and this thing is basically, it should be hitting the barricade, but it hits that guy in the back that's next to Geiger.
What was Geiger fucking... What was he going to do with the baseball? What the fuck was he going to do with the baseball? This was a foul ball. Oh, my God, that drives me crazy. Now, having said that, he's a great fucking dude. He really is. He's a good guy. 866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. Here's the Brooklyn Blowhard. How you doing, Blowhard?
Hey, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Hey, by any means necessary, you have to help your home team. There is nothing worse than going to a game and having some jackass lean over or even in the stands and hurt your team. It happened to me. I was sitting in the first base side back when the Yankees had the rivalry with the Kansas City Royals, and John Mayberry came over to catch a pop-up that Munson hit. My friend and I both took our hands. Now, we were about second row, definitely in the stands. We took our hands. We smacked him in the forearm. The glove came off. The ball went into some lady's lap, and we saved the day for the New York Yankees that day. You cannot do this. What happened in Tampa, he should have been ejected for interfering. That's what they do. The rule is, if it's over the fence, you're not supposed to lean over, and if it's in the fence, the fans have the right to do what they want. But if it's your team, it's what you said. You have to back up and let your guy have the play and make the catch. If it's the enemy player, you do what you want. As long as he's in that stands, he's in your area, you can spin on him, knock his hat off, do whatever you want, but you have to get the win. And Tampa Bay does not deserve baseball. Tampa Bay Stadium is nothing but a giant super Walmart.
Oh, jeez.
They do not deserve baseball.
Oh, God.
They should move that franchise and get the hell out. Move them to Brooklyn. We'll do a lot better than 20,000 people in a playoff game.
That is actually embarrassing, too. All right, thanks, Blowhard.
See the Mets game last night? There was about 1,000 people in the stands. It was a fucking ghost town.
Is that right?
It was a ghost town last night. They were playing the Giants, too. I mean, Jesus.
Well, but was it awful weather? What the hell was it all about?
I think on the paper was saying it was cold out, but I don't remember it being that cold last night. But
it was cold this morning when I got up.
There was no one in the stadium. It was fucking weird.
And by this morning, I mean about a half an hour ago when I got up. This is the point Blowhard is making. I'm trying to get it into you, Fez. I don't know whether you would say it or not. The fact that you have a right to smack the ball out of your first baseman's fucking glove, which he basically did here, does not mean that you should do it. The fact that Geiger could walk through that stadium with everybody going, hey, man, you just, whatever, and then go on the radio and everybody's like, hey, whatever. It goes to show there's not a fevered baseball fucking community there. There's just not. They don't care that much about the game. This is a chance for these people to sit in air conditioning for a while because it's a very hot place to live.
Oh, Jesus.
866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. Nick, you're on Ron and Fez show. Nick, do we got you?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Hey, I study psychology. Human instinctual actions is what I study.
Right.
And I think there's a bigger thing going on here. Ron, you have the instinct of defending your team, and this is something it sounds like it was taught to you by your father. This is ingrained in you, so no matter what happens at a game, you will automatically do the right thing because this was taught to you since you were a little guy, you know? We'd have to look at what the big dog guy, what he was taught when he was little. I have a feeling once that ball was in the air, he doesn't have that instinct to defend his team. He was just thinking, cool, got to get the ball. Just like when you throw a ball for a dog, they just know they want to go get it.
All right. Now, would you say he has the instincts of a fucking dog? Oh. That's what you're saying. This man was a professional basketball player.
Athlete.
And basketball players go into the stands as well. You know what I mean? The same thing happens.
But
I think you're at a game, you got to know where you're at.
I think he's just been having extra scrutiny put on him because he's a really big guy with arms probably twice as long as an average man.
Well, the only scrutiny I put on it is because I know the fucking guy. That's why I fucking threw it on here, or I would never have thrown up a fucking Tampa baseball play. There's no scrutiny put on him in Tampa. No one fucking gives a shit.
Everyone's all fucked up on oxys.
Right, because he's saying what Nick is saying is Geiger, like you, had a father who didn't love you and teach you how to act at a fucking ball game. Where he just let you run around or whatever. You were one of those fucking kids that was like, oh, can I go get a pennant? And one of those fucking bobbleheads instead of watching a ball game.
Pay attention to the game, son.
Head on a swivel here. They're going to turn two. All right? You see that?
Look.
You see him leaning? He's going to go. Watch him. Watch him. He's going to get gunned down too. I'm like, please, let's just fucking relax. Enjoy the game.
Enjoy.
All right? I want this to be a game, not a test. Just trying to spend some time here. Let's go over here to Andy, Pittsburgh. You're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Ronnie. Good morning. Hey, I wanted to ask you, with the New Jersey Nets coming over to Brooklyn fairly soon next year, if the Brooklyn Dodgers came back, left L.A. and came back, how would that change the New York Yankees fan base?
Well, it wouldn't be as a matter of the Yankees fan base, but it would destroy the Mets fan base.
What's left to
because that's where, that's the National League fans follow the Mets. So the Mets would have to just leave if the Dodgers came back.
Just disband the fucking franchise.
Yeah, there's no way that area could support two pro teams. It just wouldn't happen.
First of all, that would mean 3 pro teams.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, New York had 3 pro teams up until the late 50s. They had the Giants, the Yankees, and the Dodgers. And that was like, you have to look, this is what kind of London does with soccer, that every kind of neighborhood
has its own
team. And it's actually better than, Cincinnati's in town. You know what I mean? When the
neighborhood versus neighborhood, right?
Yeah, when that kind of stuff happens, that's when you really get amped. You get amped when you're playing somebody that somebody that you care about. And that's what happens in Tampa right now. One of the reasons is that there's no history of baseball in the town, and they really don't give a shit about it. You can't really blame the fans for that. They never should have gotten the ballpark and the club in the first place. It was just, and I'm saying that as somebody who was like on the radio trying to help them, get a ball team. But really now, in hindsight, they don't give a shit. It's just not their sport,
They just could care less. I guess football, the Bucks are what the...
Not really. What they really like is college football.
Oh, shit.
But the Bucks, if the Bucks are winning, they show up.
All right.
If the Bucks aren't winning, they sell their tickets and go out sailing. They don't give a fuck. Now, college they care about because it comes down to the local teams and everybody gets all fired up because you might like one team and your neighbor is for the, you're with the Gators, your neighbor's for the Knowles, the guy down the street went to Miami, now you got the South Florida, that kind of shit they care about. Let's go over to Ross. Ross, you're on the Ron Fez show.
No, you're exactly right. Tampa Bay is not actual baseball fans. Anytime you watch a game and they're playing the Yankees, there's more Yankee fans in the stand than actual Tampa Bay fans. I went to a game, actually it was against Seattle, in Seattle. Fly ball came down the left field line. I was sitting there, and I reached up and took the ball away from whoever the left fielder was for the Mariners at the time. And the place went crazy. I was wearing my Yankees jersey, and, I took the ball away from the place went crazy and booed me. They showed me on the big screen, and they escorted me out and booed me out of the stadium. But that's what you got to do if you're a fan of the team. If that's, with Brett Gardner down there in left field, no way I would have interfered with him. If you're a baseball fan, you absolutely know that you got to take the ball away from the visiting team and let your own team catch it.
There was actually even a thing, I guess it was last year or the year before, where a Mets fan at Yankee Stadium interfered like that, and right away you saw him on the cell phone like, yeah, you fucking see me on TV, I'm fucking saving the Mets. And he was all, no, yeah, I think it was a Mets fan at the Yankee Stadium. And it was like, to me, fucking hysterical, because here's your opportunity to do something for your fucking shitty
you're
team.
actually making a fucking impact.
Look at me. Can you believe me? And remember that fucking Yankees little kid, I think it was back in the 90s, that got in the way of the ball.
That fucking basically saved the fucking game.
Yeah, swatted a fucking home run back in.
This kid was responsible for the whole dynasty, because without that fucking home run.
It's true. And that kid was on TV, and he was going like this. Truthfully, on the way there, I knew somehow today I would do something in my power to help the Yankees. And I'm like, you fucking never thought that. You're sitting in center field all day.
Fuck yeah.
Did you really think that you were going to be playing a major role in this game?
Hysterical.
Bob, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, say, Fezzy.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
What's that?
Dude, you never watch movies, you don't read books. How are you going to become current on current events, dude? I think that's why you're not chattering on the radio.
I'm talking about Matt Geiger and this foul ball play.
Dude, you just don't get involved, man.
I am involved, and I'm talking about how I think Matt Geiger had every right to go after this ball.
If it wasn't Matt Geiger, would you have said, yeah, it's good?
Yeah.
And if this was the World Series, you'd feel the same way?
No, it would be upsetting that the play got messed, but I wouldn't blame the person going for the ball.
If it was the World Series, you would not say, let's do everything we can for the Rays to win. You'd be like, try to catch a lazy foul ball.
I would think, yes, you have I wouldn't complain about that. I would think you have every right.
Is that ours or O&A's? What does that think?
That's O&A's, I believe.
The hell is it? It looks like a bomb sitting over there.
That's like a poster or something. That's like a poster fucking.
That wide? Roll it down the hall before it blows up and kills all of us.
It's Jim's.
He's getting something signed. We're going to get into good questions in just a little bit. But this has to do with the NFL injuries that are going down and what's going to happen.
That's all anyone's been talking about this entire offseason.
Is that right?
Well, I mean, with the Saints fucking blowing up, saying that Greg Williams putting up bounties on dudes or whatever, that's just put it all to the forefront. Because I mean, the concussion thing's been showing up for years now, and then he was and the tapes that were played, he's like, fucking give Frank Gore a concussion. Michael Crabtree, let's see if we can give him another concussion. Like, literally saying, let's fucking knock these guys the fuck out.
Well, some of the old guys that have been suffering from their concussions from the 70s, 60s, even 80s and 90s, they've been trying to get the league to pull up. And who was the guy who was on the front lines of this, Fez?
It was Dick, I think.
It's on the good question. It was Ditka.
It's always Ditka.
Of course it's not Ditka. Who's the fucking gentleman, Fez? Because yesterday he killed himself. Or 2 days ago he killed himself. So this guy that says, because I played football, I am suffering from this. No, I'm just going to repeat this for people. Ditka did not kill himself.
Are you sure?
So don't panic. You got it up on Good Questions, Hicks?
Yeah, it's Ray Easterling's the guy who killed himself.
Thank you. So this guy played back in the 70s, and he killed himself because he's been going through this depression and he can't get the help from the NFL. The NFL is not going to help because they're like, hey, you played years ago. You can't prove here. Yeah. Now, here's the basic debate. These guys get paid a lot of money to play football, and it's a nasty, ugly game. And they know it's a nasty, ugly game when they get into it. What they don't know, and what you can't know when you're 23 years old, that when you're 63 years old, you're still going to be paying a price.
And your body's fucked forever. I mean, depending on what kind of injuries you're getting.
The body, of course, is one thing, and that's awful. But when it happens to your brain, you can't even get back to thinking about it. Now, the NFL has not been taking care of these guys, nor has the Players Association. Or if they've been doing it, it hasn't been enough to fucking help out. Now, here's the other side of this. I saw Wilbon on ESPN last week, and he said the game of football, and you can count on it, within 10, 15 years is going to be unrecognizable to you now. The hard hitting is going to leave football. Now, we can't imagine this now any more than in 1975 you would think you're always going to be able to smoke on an airplane.
Oh, my God.
I'm not putting out my fucking cigarette when I get on an elevator. That's crazy talk. Let's go over here to John. John, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Fezzy, I was just calling to see when Ditka's funeral services were.
Let's take the Ditka off here. We jumped.
Hey,
Ditka is alive and well and running a lovely steak place in Chicago.
He's king of that town.
As well as hosting Come On, Man on ESPN. When everyone else says, come on, man. Ditka always gives that, come on, man. Like, just what do I have to do?
No, you got to jump into it, Dick, to sell this thing. You don't have jacked up anymore.
866-RON-0-FEZ. 866-RON-0-FEZ. Sean, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Ron, how exactly do you protect players that go out there and say that they hide concussion symptoms just so they can keep playing and that they play through concussions?
Well, here's the reason why. Because that they play for that. Because you can get cut for missing games. So in the same way here, it would not, none of us would work through pneumonia unless you found out that you will lose your job if you take too many days off. And then Handsome Johnny would fucking be dragging his ass in here with his lungs full of fucking Kool-Aid. That's what would happen. All right, so what exactly is the question on this, Hicks?
Should the NFL be held responsible for Easterling's injuries and his death? And
what is your feeling on it? It's a tough one.
Ultimately, I'm going to say no, they shouldn't be held responsible.
And why not?
Because I'm going to guess he probably didn't know he was going to commit suicide joining the NFL. But he knew he's going to get fucked up in the NFL.
But you could say the same thing about coal miners. They know that there's a danger when they do that. But years later, when they become sick, those coal mines become responsible for taking care of them. Everybody knows when they walk into a place that there's some amount of danger that can happen in their job. In this job, you can end up looking silly by saying the wrong things into a microphone. 866-RON-0-FEZ. 866-RON-0-FEZ. Ryan, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
What's up, boys? Hey, I don't think, I know they're going to try and sue. There's a big class action suit because of the guy, Dale Duerson, that recently killed himself. Also, but, it's like any profession. You know what you're getting into. Like, would you or Fez be able to sue various radio stations that you work for when you go deaf? If you do go deaf,
there will, you absolutely would be able to sue them for if you go deaf. There's no doubt about it, because we set up things years ago that they have to set up safe enough conditions in our factories, in our coal mines. It's not like this is the 1930s. The problem of this is that we're just getting around of it, is no one really realized how dangerous these head injuries were back in the 60s and 70s. Probably even 80s, we didn't know. I mean, at that time, you started to hear about it when you would see old boxers, you know?
Yeah, just fucking talking. And once Muhammad Ali started going, like, you know, he started getting a little
Right.
slower. People were like, holy shit.
Sean, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Paul Bears.
All right, I'm going to say this one more time. Mike Ditka, alive and well. 866-RON-0-FEZ. 866-RON-0-FEZ. Turtle, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah.
Part of I think there's a difference between the coal mine industry and what the NFL is doing because, you know, back in the day, the coal mine industry was telling coal miners that, you know, there's not really any problem here. It's safe. You know, we just need you to go down there and get the fuck to work. The NFL never said to a player that, you know, hey, running, you know, 15, 20 miles an hour into somebody head first for 10 years is probably not safe. I don't think that the NFL ever came out and said, you know, you're going to get out of this at the end of your career and be completely healthy.
I think that you're making the case for the players right now because the team-owned doctors would say, you're ready to go back into the game. You're ready to play. And the coach would say, is he ready to go in? Let's have our doctor check him. They weren't checked by an outside doctor. So that's exactly the problem, that these doctors shot up knees, did this.
Right.
And, of course, the NFL hasn't gone out of their way to make sure there's the safest possible equipment because speed became such a big part of the game. And that's what happened with the head injuries is like if you go back and watch like football from 1963, there is some lumbering defensive linemen. You don't see that anymore. You don't see a big fat guy who can't get. You're seeing defensive linemen who can run down halfbacks in the open field. There are fast, giant guys in the league now. 866-RON-0-FEZ. 866-RON-0-FEZ. Graham, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
I was just calling to say I don't think they should change anything about football. The players are getting paid millions of dollars to make big hits and take big hits, and I think if they take that out of the game, the sport's popularity will suffer.
Yeah, but you could have said the same thing about gladiator stuff. I mean, yeah, the popularity may suffer a little bit or just change. Is this really Frank Wycheck on the line here?
Yeah, he says he is.
Frank Wycheck.
What's up, Ron?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
You
guys.
You've got some inside scoop on this?
Well, I just think, just listening to you guys, I think the point that's not being made from a lot of the players that are that are filing these lawsuits, and more are coming. I think there's like a 55-week streak that there's been a lawsuit by a different player being filed against the league. I think the point is that you know what you're getting into when you play the game, obviously. I mean, the big thing when I was playing and we were growing up, it was paralysis.
Right.
That was one thing that was the elephant in the room that you'd never want to talk about. It was taboo. But the concussion thing was like a ding, headache, get back in there, you know.
Right.
The problem is that why guys are filing is because the NFL had information about concussions that could lead to down the line, damage and trauma in your life that they were holding back. And doctors were saying that if you played football, it wasn't going to lead to anything. And just because you play football, it could be anybody could get dementia or early onset Alzheimer's. And that's the reason. It's like, well, okay, I know what I'm signing up for, but at the same time, if I had this information, maybe 5 or 10% would choose not to play. And that's the problem with these lawsuits. It's not necessarily because they got injured.
Do you think when you look back on it now, you played over a decade,
I had a
right?
ton of concussions.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I retired.
And now are you really worried about the future and where this goes? Yeah.
I am, because I just feel like that no one's telling me anything. Like, all of a sudden, I'm 40 now. I mean, then usually in your mid to late 40s, early 50s, that's when all these guys are starting to go nuts and do drastic things. So, but since I retired, I mean, no one's told me nothing. Eat a carrot, take a pill, do whatever, so you could avoid this. It's just that's the frustrating thing about it, is the unknown, and that's when the league just snips the cord 4 years after you're done playing. You're just a stat.
Yeah, all any kind of health benefits are gone 4 years after?
Yes.
Wow. Are you surprised that fans have a tendency to side with the league on this over the players?
I'm not surprised, because I just think it's just one of those things where it's greedy athletes and a couple, few of the guys who get in trouble or
right.
spend money crazy and then end up bankrupt. You know what I'm saying? I don't think a lot of fans feel sorry for guys like that, but that's the big misperception, that 95% of the league is good guys.
Right.
They really are. And, just sometimes just that sensational is, people sensationalize a lot of these stories and stuff, and just makes the league look bad and kind of ruins it for everybody.
It is, for all the glory and all the fame and all, there is a price that you pay. There was a Hall of Fame quarterback walking around here yesterday. I don't even think 50 years old, and you saw him really limping hard. I mean, you leave a lot back there. You leave a lot on the field.
You do, and that's the price you pay. Listen, it's you know what you're going through. You know what you're getting into. It's for men only, for sure. I mean, you got just to play, a few years, let alone for guys playing double digits.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and everyone is going to feel that soreness and all that. But the brain injury is something different. I think that's when it gets real serious,
Yeah.
and people don't understand it, because really it just came about because the league started getting some heat. But until that, you only heard about Troy Aikman and Steve Young having a concussion. That was it. Everyone else you couldn't care less about.
And everybody gets these, right? Just about everybody, particularly when you're a defensive back, wide receiver, when you're running down the field like that, you're going to get these stingers.
Oh, yeah, all the time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter how big you are. Obviously these guys are flying around and they're just ridiculous athletes.
Mm-hmm.
But my last concussion, that was the worst one that I had a lot of post-concussion symptoms with, was just like a guy diving over the pile and kneed me in the ear hole.
Mm.
It wasn't one of those James Harrison Pittsburgh Steelers devastating over the middle shots. It was just a glance.
Yeah.
And that knocked me out for 40 seconds.
And once you start to have concussions, like once you've been knocked out once, they keep coming after that. It's almost like a switch gets turned.
Well, that's the thing. That's where it's up to the players. And some players kind of, they don't care. And they'll say, well, I'll do bad on my baseline test, so when I do come back, it's not as bad. But it's up to the player. Only the player knows if he's got a headache or he's feeling, he's sensitive to light and he's just like lethargic and tired all the time. Only players understand that. Doctors really can't tell you that. So he's got to be honest with himself and basically, when he's ready to come back. And when they say you're full go, you exercise, and none of the symptoms come back, then you should be okay to go out and play. But if you do get another one, then it has the propensity to last longer and take a lot much longer to come back.
All right, Frank, good to talk to you, buddy. Thanks for calling us.
Ronnie.
All right, take care. I was a terrific football player, Frank Wycheck, who I believe out of the city of Philadelphia, where he was born. Played over 10 years. I know he made some, Pro Bowls, and he's sitting there trying to fucking explain to you the game that we all act like we know because we watch it
Yeah.
on Sundays, you know? But really, that you see what some of these guys deal with after, and it makes you wonder, like, what is this whole Sunday thing about, you know? Are we really like fucking Roman gladiator fans, you know, if we allow some of this shit to go on like this?
I'd say yeah.
These bodies to get thrown away at the end?
Only 4 years
We're
fucking
not
health
even-
insurance. Jesus fuck.
Yeah, 4 years after
And
you're
what,
done.
You're done what? Late 20s if you're lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that'd be the average, right? Mid to late 20s if you
But-
play for 3 year seasons.
People don't realize what happens as you get older anyway. Like Chevy Chase had to have all kinds of back operations because he used to do pratfalls. Just from doing pratfalls.
Just falling down, having people fucking
Yeah.
run into him.
Yeah, just doing funny stuff like that. So guys like the jackass guys that think that's all funny because, like, when you're 21, you can bounce right back up again. They're all going to be dealing with shit when they get older.
Yeah, Bam and Steve-O and
The difference is the head injuries. The brain stuff is even way scarier because that's who you are.
Yeah.
We got to take a break here. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. And just to allow everyone to know, Mike Ditka, alive and well.
Good. Because I love that fucking pregame show.
Do you really? You do the
Just
ESPN
fucking love it. It's so
pregame
good.
shows?
Only one I seem to watch is on the fucking Monday nights. And
The ESPN show always, let's take a look at it, shall we? Let's put it all out there and all take a look at it.
Okay.
I'm like, what are you saying? What are you yelling about?
Are you guys just going that fake field now and fucking show me how the play works? Yes.
We'll break here. Right back. Ron and Fez show.
The Opie and Anthony Show. Ron and Fez's half year in review continues.
Yeah. You guys remember this song from Road Trip, right? That movie was the shit. I love Tom Green. Hey, I'm Pepper Hicks, producer for the Ron and Fez Show. We're in the best of right now. It's July 4th week. So we're on vacation. But we got all these best ofs for you. Coming up next, we're going to talk of the five. The 5 best Bugs Bunny cartoons, all from the ibang.com. What's your favorite Bugs Bunny cartoon? Well, you can't call in and tell us because we're not live. So why'd I ask that? The 5 best Bugs Bunny cartoons coming up next on the best of Ron and Fez.
Ron and Fez.
And up today is the 5 great Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Nice.
Now, this is tough to say for me because I'm going to tell you where I put Bugs Bunny.
Where?
Babe Ruth. You know, like, you can't really get around to beating Babe Ruth, even if you beat him, because everything has changed. At the fact that Bugs Bunny came out, you know, it was like World War II or whatever, and it was all like Mickey Mouse before then, so you can't compare
And changed
anything
everything.
to Bugs Bunny. And that's why Mickey Mouse gets such a ride, because he was in so early on that just some moving around and resembling a mouse
blew everyone's fucking mind.
That's why they never bothered being funny with him. But Bugs to me was, I'm bringing the funny shit.
Yeah, it was like a little bit of an edge to Bugs Bunny, and like fucking, he was a smart ass. It was fucking great.
Yeah, he was a street guy.
Yeah.
They said, who's the guy who did all the voices? Mel Blanc.
Mel Blanc.
He said that Bugs Bunny's, the voice that he did was a little bit out of the Bronx and a little bit out of Brooklyn put together. So it was like 2 different accents to make up the one.
It's fucking awesome.
Now, when you see a list of 5 like this, I don't know whether you can say it's definitive.
It's
but,
just the 5.
But in this case, and I can honestly tell you I didn't have anything to do with this list, this has got to be the definitive list of Bugs Bunny.
All time?
All time.
All time.
All time. You don't even come close to this. Now, Fez, were you even a Bugs Bunny fan?
Oh, yeah.
I would have thought I would have heard you speak out by now. Do you have a favorite Bugs Bunny?
My favorite one is in the 5. It's number 5, Bugs and Thugs. I love that one where the gangsters are hiding out.
All right, let's go through a little bit of Bugs and Thugs. If you want to get in on this, 866 Ron Zero Fez, or leave your comment up at the iBang. We're struggling with this a little bit today. Server juice? No, we got it.
All right.
Great song, by the way, Toho. Make sure Jonathan can see too, because you're, he loves to be part of it, and then you're always sitting in front of it.
Well, I gotta be fucking operating this thing.
I know you do,
So rude.
but still, you're like one of those women at the movies with a big hat on.
Take off your hat.
What are we going through the whole thing here? We're not even hitting the meat.
Server juice on this fucking stream is.
We're getting hammered today, even though we've upgraded 3 different times.
God damn.
Yeah, I know. It's blown up. The iBang is completely blown up. What was it about Bugs and Thugs that you dug?
I love the gangster character. See, I always liked it when Bugs Bunny ended up with people who weren't the regulars, like Elmer Fudd or Daffy Duck.
I agree with you 100%. I like a solo record. All right, let's bring this up a little bit.
I'll need a nickel at Tanks. Hello, police department. I've got the bank robbers.
What a great voice.
Headed west. We're driving a 52 Acme straight 8. Overhead valves. With California license plates.
What he fucking yells, it's hysterical.
Yeah, he's hysterical. And the voice, that's why I don't even watch anything with new Bugs. I'm sorry. I know they're doing an impression of Bugs.
Yeah, it's not blank. Fuck it. So it's the slightly offness of it just makes it so bad.
Here's Tim in Illinois. We're talking about our favorite Bugs.
Yeah, Ron, the one where he's a cowboy, and he's got his hat pulled way down low in the front, and he's leaning up against the bar, and he just goes, shut up. Like a real smarty, like a cocky guy,
That just crushes when he drops into that. That's why I like even a lot of the earlier Bugs more than even the 1960s stuff, when they started to bring it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he was pretty violent and pretty straight right from the word go. Let's go up here. Did Fez like it when Bugs would dress as a female and hit on straight guys? There was a lot of that. He shared a lot of that with Fez.
Especially with the Tasmanian Devil.
No, the Taz is a crossover, though, Fez.
Yeah.
Now, number 2 was one of my favorites here, and that's, of course, baseball Bugs. Tough to beat this one.
This is my favorite, without a doubt. This,
it is your favorite.
When I was a little kid, when I watching this shit, this is awesome. Bugs Bunny just fucking tearing it up.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Well, also, I love just the old school baseball angle of it. But for me, the favorite things are when the guys are, I think, when they're just doing that dance. I will tell you that when guys were putting on, or if there was a walk at spring training games, me and Flathead would always get the bum 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 bum, and we fucking literally wanted there to be that sounder, and we attempted to approach the team going, this would be the perfect, bring up the sound, and all the guys are just going around the.
It's fucking great. Yeah, Jesus. I
It just seems like if your team is on a roll, you got to do that.
Hell yeah. Tearing this shit up. Ain't gonna stop.
Let's go over to Dan. Dan, you're on Fez.
What's up, buddies?
Yeah.
Number 1, Bugs versus Pete the Puma.
Oh, Pete the Puma, you do an impression, right, Fez?
Yeah. I like coffee.
That's pretty good.
How many lumps do I want? I want a whole lot of lumps.
Oh, seriously, that's really good.
There you go, fellas.
Seriously, I don't know why you just don't use that as one of your characters. You know, when you were doing character work, that should have been it. You just come in and Pete the Puma and fuck everything else. It's stupid not to. Let's go over to Chris. Chris Sherman and Fez.
Yeah, I forgot all about the episode until last week. I was watching Fear and Loathing, and it hit something in my head. And when Bugs Bunny and the evil scientist accidentally inhale ether and are just floating around, running in slow motion.
I forgot that one too, man.
It's hysterical.
That was fucking crazy funny.
What the I don't even remember this. Holy shit.
It's online. Bugs Bunny ether. You'll find it.
It's really a kind of a stoner one.
Cooperative little bunny, and let me have your brain.
Sorry, Doc, but I need what little I've got.
Now, is that Vincent Price doing that, or him doing Vincent Price?
It's probably Mel Blanc doing a Vincent Price.
Holy shit, they're all fucked up on each.
Yeah.
Here you
And they're in a slow motion fucking chase and just floating around. I swear to God, I completely forgot about this. It's fucking classic.
Fuck it.
nighty night.
Mike, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Buddies, I got an ironic tidbit actually about Mel Blanc. I remember watching a little special when I was a kid. He was allergic to carrots.
Who cares, really? I mean, at the end of the day, do we really care?
Yeah, but he played the voice of a
Yeah,
fucking
I
rabbit.
don't. I don't care.
They didn't make him really eat carrots when he did the voice.
In my opinion, this was one of the most talented people of all time. Even though some of the, voices brushed up against each other, I don't give a shit. He did like 60 or 80 of them, some crazy ass number. Here's our buddy Hard Rock Johnny.
I like Big Top Bunny, where they dive from like really, really high up, and he's like at the end, he's like, "I'm gonna dive into a sponge."
Yeah, that's a fucking classic.
Yeah, I mean, and I totally forgot about the other one that you just played. Where he's like, "Come back."
I'd forgotten completely about that.
That was like a total like just they're smoked some weed and they were just hanging out. You know, it's like. I like the What's Opera Doc too was a good one with the the whole opera one with Elmer Fudd singing.
Oh yeah, grab that one too. That's fucking great. Did that make the 5?
No, it didn't. It wasn't in there.
Well, it's impossible to put together 5 of this.
Yeah, there's so many good ones. I mean, I agree with you that the baseball one to me is probably my favorite. You know, just like you said, the dun 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 dun, like it's just like the greatest thing ever.
It was just fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Go play some of this.
Test. How will you do it? Might I inquire to ask?
I will do it with my spear and magic helmet.
Your spear and magic helmet?
Spear and magic helmet.
Magic helmet?
Magic helmet.
Magic helmet.
Yes, magic helmet. And I'll give you a sample. That was the one.
Going over the 5 for the Bugs Bunny. I will tell you, I'm divided between baseball and long-haired hair. And I think that's the one with Leopold, right? It's Leopold. It's Leopold. And that's the one where he's doing the scalp job?
Yeah, yeah.
The scalp job is the funniest thing I've ever fucking seen in America. Nothing is as fucking funny to me. A lot of classical music got used in this. And I think I've heard that they have done these on the big screen with a full orchestra playing. And I would do that in a fucking heartbeat.
That's a hell of a night
In
out.
a heartbeat. Full boat, full price.
Shit, strap that cash down.
There's Bugs and Drag again.
He was very big into drag. He can't get around it. It was a Milton Berle aspect to him, I guess. This is Bugs all dressed up.
Like a fucking aristocrat.
Leopold. 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 Leopold.
Leopold.
He rocks his own stick.
He's nice like that.
Bugs Bunny is the only way to act in life, too. Just go around fucking around with life.
Just fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah.
Have as much fun as you possibly can.
And live underground. That's the other thing that kids should do. They should live underground with a gigantic apartment.
I loved it when they would show his rabbit hole, and there would be stubs of carrots around like they were cigar butts.
Like he had just put them out?
Yeah.
Still a little Pete the Puma, Fez.
How many lumps do I want? I want a whole lot of lumps.
Seriously, I don't know why why you're not doing that all the time. Get rid of that stupid Fez character. Just be Pete the Puma.
The Ron and Pete the Puma show would be
I would do it in a heartbeat.
That would be the greatest. This is where Leopold, this is where he changes all different colors, right?
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny leaves his glove in the air to keep him going.
He's nice like that.
He's a baller.
Oh, yeah.
Where's the doing the fucking scalp job, though? Johnny, I'm going to keep you on for a second. Here's Herb. Herb.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
My favorite episode is the episode where he inadvertently comes up in the middle of a bull ring. He apparently took a wrong turn at Albuquerque, and he just fucks with the bull, where it finally ends up with some weird Rube Goldberg contraption ending, where he sends the bull flying out the arena.
There's so many great ones. And I don't like anytime he'll say Pismo Beach. I don't know why, but I was obsessed with that when I was a kid.
Sounds fucking fun place to be.
It does. It sounds like the best place ever. Peter, you're on Run of Fez.
All right. I got two of them. Babyface Nelson, with a kid shaving, smoking a cigar in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And Edward G. Robinson and Peter Lorre.
See, here's what's kind of interesting. Like, when they were doing those, this really were a Babyface Nelson. So they should have kept it going together. Like, he should have done a fucking Charlie Manson one in the late 60s. And an SLA one. He didn't have to fucking stop. The 5 on Bugs Bunny. There's already too many to ever get in. The Rabbit of Seville was brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Hiding hair into horror films. The band Bugs Bunny cartoons, some of those you've seen in black and white where they make fun of Japanese people.
No, those were the ones where, like, with the Gremlins, that was so crazy.
All right, this is a good one. Rabbit Punch with the Crusher. That was fucking classic.
Crusher?
Just hysterical. Let's go over to Will. Will, you're on my Fez.
Hey, buddies. Quick observation. I think the thing about Mickey Mouse, nobody says their favorite character is Mickey Mouse except like a 5-year-old who's forced on it. He's like iconic to the point where people resent him. And Bugs Bunny's always been accessible. When's the last time you watched an hour of Mickey Mouse shorts?
I've never laughed at Mickey Mouse. Even when I was a little kid, I just fucking was like, oh, he's the guy that has his own fucking theme park. I want to go there. But that was the only draw for me. No, you know what? I will give him the Fantasia thing. The Fantasia stuff that he did was pretty goddamn scary to a kid with that sorcerer thing, and he was swinging the axe, cutting the brooms in half, and there'd be more brooms coming at him.
Actually,
But it wasn't funny. It was more scary.
Now I think that characters used mostly in video games. Like instead of cartoons, they just put like the Mickey Mouse fucking video games and shit like that.
Oh, you know, he's become like
He's
a corporate head.
A brand.
Yeah. I don't know why they couldn't fucking pull it off in the other direction. Warner Brothers shit the bed on that. Let's go over to Gary. Gary, you're on Run and Fez show.
Hey, buddies. I really like the duck season, rabbit season. Every time he would shoot the duck in the face with the shotgun, his bill would be in a different place. But you look at it on TV now when they show that one, they don't show him being shot in the face no more.
Yeah, they were worried about kids shooting other kids in the face.
Yeah, and it was funny. It was almost Three Stooges type funny.
By the way, new Three Stooges movie due in a couple weeks. No idea how it's going to play.
I don't think it's going to be very good. If you're a Stooges fan, I can't think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, but even if you're a Stooges fan, you're certainly not the type of person who goes running out for a big movie weekend.
Yeah,
you know, there's no kids who get the Stooges at all. They see black and white and they start throwing up.
Boo! What is this?
They just can't handle it. John, what do you got, buddy?
Hey, Ron, there was
Yeah.
an episode where he was telling a story about the Brooklyn Bridge and a guy jumping off. And as a kid, I learned from Bugs Bunny how not to answer questions the way everybody else does, which he goes, okay, son, when were you born? And the guy goes, I don't know. I was pretty young then. And as a kid, that set the tone for it. That was a great answer.
Well, you know what? I think that those are like a lot of old vaudeville bits that they did. Like they based them on a lot of these, you know, vaudeville guys and Catskill guys that have been around for years. But kids had never heard any of those old jokes. So we're just rolling on the fucking ground.
Losing their shit.
Yeah, oh, fucking bugs. Let's go over to Rob Yerman and Fez.
Hey, Ron, how are you?
Yeah.
Hey, to this day, my father and I still crack up at I knight you, sirloin of beef. The freaking bugs in the Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah, the Knights of the Round Table. Jim, Alabama, Yerman and Fez.
Oh, dude, the dopey vulture and Bugs Bunny. He's flying home back to his mama with a baby bumblebee in his hand.
Oh, that's funny shit.
My mama done told me
to bring home a rabbit. That fucking guy should have been a bigger fucking spinoff. He should have been gigantic. Let's go over to Evan, you're on Run and Fez.
There's one cartoon that takes place like a 50s nightclub with Humphrey Bogart, and he orders a coconut custard pie with whipped cream. It really speaks to how awesome Mel Blanc was that he could do all these impressions. Like,
Yeah, I loved it when they would have like old school movie stars on too. And their faces would be so scary looking and weird.
Oh, yeah.
Their faces were like the size of African shields. Look how disgusting those faces are.
Yeah, if you were like a human.
You check, Mr. Milan.
Like we're supposed to get Milan jokes. We're little kids.
Sir. Keep it. Thank you.
Duh.
They're just showing grown-ups at the bar.
Getting fucking whacked.
Hey, waiter. Come here. Yes, sir, Mr. Bogart. We have some very nice...
Cut the gab and bring me an order of fried rabbit.
Oh, I'm very sorry, Mr. Bogart, but we're just fresh out of rabbit. We got some very nice crepe Suzette.
I said I want rabbit, and I'll give you just 20 minutes to bring it. Or else.
Yes, sir, Mr. Bogart. The customer's always white.
Humphrey Bogart's going to kill a waiter.
And he's smoking. Fucking cartoon character smoking a cigarette.
And I'm also picking up that Elmer Fudd and Uncle Paul are kind of close to each other. A little closer than I ever imagined. Let's go over to Brian. Brian, you're on the Run and Fez show.
Hey, Ron, Fez, Pepper.
The one where Bugs was in an airplane that was crashing, was hurtling down to Earth, and you see the altimeter needle like this spinning off its axis, the speedometer, and he's screaming and going green, and then right before it hits, the plane stops, and then he just steps out and walks on the ground, and the plane ran out of gas. Just the absurdity.
So lucky. So lucky.
And I think the dial, when it was spinning, it would get to the point where it's showing the numbers, and then you've got to be kidding me.
Scott, you're on Running Fuzz.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I'm almost 30, and, I mean, you guys are, however old you are, we all grew up watching this stuff Saturday mornings. And, like, as I was growing up, you learn a lot of pop culture from this. So, like, a lot of the references and stuff that I grew up with, the same as you, even though you might be a little bit older.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. There's just more stuff out there. When we watch this stuff, it's because local TV stations just wanted cheap programming. They didn't think this is the best possible stuff there is. They're like, we're having this stuff next to free. It's already been shown a million times, and kids will watch it.
Yeah, fucking cheap and easy.
Now, is there a place to still watch these cartoons on TV, Fez?
Not these Bugs Bunnies that I can think of, but they do all kinds of new Looney Tunes.
Yeah, I don't like any of those.
No.
Tiny Toons.
Yeah, I don't want to see them as like little kids.
Yeah, and then there was a new one where they tried to make it like a reality show where Bugs Bunny and Daffy were living together, and it was supposed to be like a Looney Tunes reality show.
Like bosom buddies or something? Terrible.
Like more like Celebrity Rehab, it sounds like. Let's go over to Scott. Scott, you're on Run Fez.
Hey guys, hey, real quick, Gorilla My Dreams is one of the better ones also. But one of the highlights I always think, even listening to you guys on the radio playing this, is that Carl Stallings music.
It's phenomenal, isn't it?
I mean, that you can everything you guys are talking about, you can visualize.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing anyone's ever said during this whole bit that you remember it. I mean, that's how ingrained it is in our DNA.
Yeah, and all those classical songs, like you were like, oh, I don't like classical music. But then I could make you a mixtape that you would like, oh, yeah, I know this one. I know that one.
Oh, shit.
Because it's all there. Bum, 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 up, bum, 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 up, bum, 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 up, bum, 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 bum.
No one brought up the one I love, the Tortoise Beats the Hare with, remember Cecil the Turtle? He was in a couple of them.
That was fucking fantastic. And Bugs was such a dick during that. I mean, seriously, he frustrated me so much. You know, if you were like a little kid and you like sports, you're like, come on, Bugs, stop fucking showboating, dude. You could crush this guy, but the reason you're not is because you're acting like an asshole.
Just win already. I love this one on the 5 on the iBang, Hillbilly Hare, where he's taken on the two hillbilly brothers. My favorite scene is where he finally gets them to beat the hell out of each other in a square dance.
Go over to John. John, you're on Fez.
Yeah, what about the Nature Boy chasing him up the mountain with the spear, screaming the unga bunga inga binga?
I forgot that one too, man.
They're all great. There's too many to narrow it down.
Yeah, that's the problem with this. It's like all the ones, there's all these comments over on the iBang right now, and everybody's right.
Yeah, I mean, how do you eliminate any of them? I mean, they're all good.
Someone says, Mickey Mouse cartoons are rarely shown on TV by design. The cartoons aren't that good. Neither are Woody Woodpecker or Mighty Mouse. Well, they're certainly not on the same level as Bugs. It's crazy how good they were. Let's go over to Randy. Randy, you're on Fez.
Hey, buddies. There's a couple of Bugs Bunny cartoons that are no longer allowed to be aired on TV just because of racial stereotypes. And like I think one of them in particular is the one with you going against the American Indian and the vote or something like that. But they all can be found on YouTube. If you just YouTube banned cartoons, you can find that one.
You know, when those things were done, though, like they weren't even aware that they were doing, you know, like racial jokes.
No, it's for the wall effort.
Yeah, yeah. Or some of them were just the stereotypes where we lived on one side of the world, they were on the other side of the world. So it's basically the only real knowledge that we would have. But in hindsight, you're like, well, yeah, I guess they could have used a little more education. But at the time, there wasn't like, what the hell is going on?
No, it's just
People were like, yeah, exactly.
It's perfect.
You
Yeah, that's
got
right.
it.
Let's crank these fucking cartoons out.
You're listening to the Opie and Anthony channel. All this week, Ron and Fez's half year in review.
You listen to the best of Ron and Fez. It is Ron and Fez's half year in review. I'm reviewing the last 6 months of the show. Only I could do it. And I'm hosting it. And I'm fucking killing it. I'm Pepper Hicks, producer for the Ron and Fez show. I host the best ofs because I'm that fucking great. Coming up next on the best of Ron and Fez, the Ron and Fez's half year in review. The Westboro Baptist Church. We used to be able to call Shirley Phelps Roper all the time, but she got too big, and now all the phone numbers I had for her don't work. I have to go through a fucking rep to get her. But on the show, we talked about they dropped a new single. Now, the Westboro Baptist Church likes to do song parodies. Well, they got a new one, and it's called Hey Jew. That's coming up next on the best of Ron and Fez.
Ron and Fez.
No, we just put something new up on the IB Wire. And this is going to shock you. Joe Paterno, his funeral is going to be protested by a group that calls itself the Westboro Baptists. Now, for some reason, they have decided that he's going to hell and is not going. And I'm sure the Nittany Lions fans will show up and yell shit at them. Like, fuck you. He's got more wins than you'll ever get, dick brain. I like how many stupid people try to feel smart with them and then yell at other stuff like, Jesus is about love, you fucking dick.
It's all the rage on the internet. You go there with your own signs protesting there.
Or, yeah, I blew him, and you stand next to him.
We're all having gay sex scenes with each other. Yeah.
This guy ate my asshole. You put that sign up. And yes, it was funny 4 years ago.
God hates signs.
No, that's always good. I had one that just said fags hate God, and no one said, no, I don't want you to put that up. It's not even helping. So I think it's almost a badge of honor now to have these guys show up.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, before you start screaming with your dad about these people, they keep them like a mile away. No one from the fucking funeral knows anything about it. The only people that go out to see them are the media. The media will show up. There was another side to this story.
Looks like
now, here this goes back to the Jim Carrey thing. These kids that were born into this family, this is now their religion, and they share in it. They didn't make this decision. You know what I mean? This kind of got thrown to them. Although, whatever you think about the religion, great musical family. Go over back to the IB Wire, and we've got a video up there of the whole, as they call it, the whole family singing a little bit.
There we go. He killed it. Who cares? Do you think Jesus wanted you to focus on his death, you fat cunt? I'm Jewish. Yes, oh God. Who killed it? Jews did. Everyone was Jewish. Get more about that whole Jews kill Jesus thing.
There he is giving them the finger. They have to put up with it.
Jesus is a Jew.
All right. This is them talking about. Now you can say they came out against the Jews one day because, of course, the Jews killed Christ. People are yelling at them for him. So they put together a musical number. Let's keep going.
Hey Jews, God bless your dads. Made a promise if you'll obey him.
Look at the kids singing this, loving it. Probably think their mom wrote it.
And never leave him.
She is.
Hey Jews, your hearts grew fat. You forgot God and killed his prophets.
Jews.
He drew you back to him time and again. But you loved sin and played the harlot. Then you whined about your pain, would not refrain, refused to repent, and mourn for your
All right, stop it for a second. We'll pick it back up, and we'll open this up and do some talk radio here. 866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. The question is, do you think these kids are abused by being born into this family, being taught this kind of hate? Do you see this as a form of abuse? I want the gang to think about it, and we'll play a little more music while you give us a call at 866-RON-0-FEZ, or you can put it up on the iBang, on the ibang.com. Go ahead.
When Jesus came, you were so cruel, called him a fool. You spat in his face and crucified him.
True.
Wrath and woe and lamentations. Hey Jews, don't hate your God. Fag and die, rabbi speech rebellion. You lied about the Holocaust days, the fruit of your womb, they're little hellions. You threw down against your God, hey Jews, that's fraud.
All right. By the way, I love to hear the ones that are like two singing along. They're the ones that make me laugh the most. We'll open up phone lines, 866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. Fred, you first. Are these kids abused by being raised in this nutty family?
Yeah, these kids are fucked up.
So do you think that the state has a right to go in and grab them?
I don't think the state has. I don't think they do have a right. Like, I think.
Even though that you think this is abuse.
I mean, it's not physical abuse.
No, it's not physical abuse at all.
The state can't come in if you're mentally abusing your kids, can they?
Sure, they can.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
Like if your parents just keep calling you like an idiot all the time.
Sure, they can take you away.
I didn't know that.
Watch the Bieber video that fucking made Zito cry so bad. By the way, I've shown that to every girl, and they're all like, "Oh my god, who came up with that?" And I said, "I found it." Keep playing.
Going to feast upon your children.
I can have the lyrics, you can follow along.
You naughty face, your God hates you. Hey Jews, it's true. The nations are poised for your
destruction.
Ha 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 ha. Hey Jews, you killed the king. He'll return soon. His wrath he's bringing. You thought
Here, now some people might be offended that my guys are singing along, but it's still a great song.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like the lyrics, it's a fucking great song. Hicks, are these kids abused?
No, they're not abused. They're just learning what their parents want to teach them in this free country of America.
All right, I get it. But what if you were teaching your kids that, I don't know, white people are the only ones who can do arithmetic, and you'll have to defend yourself against this and that and be able to kill. I mean, it's really fucking strange. And I agree that if you did this, anybody who started teaching mythology to their children, any of the religious stuff would come off as crazy. So you need to fucking flush these kids down the toilet to protect your own kids from the state. Zeitz, where are you on it?
It pains me, but I have to agree with Pepper Hicks because it's just because you don't, as kind of like as you said, just because you don't agree with it, that doesn't necessarily make it wrong. Like personally, I think they're wrong. Okay, but this is like if you wanted to teach your kids to just hate everyone and not be nice people, that's fucked up. But it's not abuse. It's just against the norm of what everyone thinks.
Play a little more rock.
This great sin, the fame will soon begin. Your doom is coming. Hey Jews, you stole that land. You disobeyed God. He took it from you.
Just a baby.
You thought you could take it back by force. You won't repent, of course. You're violent rebels.
The little kid can't keep up, so he's always a beat behind.
The time is short. All the details we now are summing up. He kept you, a few of you, to be safe. Now look to the skies. The Lord is coming, 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 coming.
This way when he kicks in.
Evil, reprobate Jews. God hates you, and you know it. You naughty, naughty figs, you.
Why is he calling figs?
Evil, reprobate Jews. God hates you, you Christ killers. Evil, reprobate Jews. God hates you, and you know it. Evil, reprobate Jews. God hates you, and Christ killers. Evil, reprobate Jews. God hates you, and you know it. 44,000 come up from my mom's house.
Here's Graham in PA.
Hey, how's it going? I was just calling to say that I do think that this is abuse. I mean, society's not cool with people fucking kids in the butt, but that this family is fucking these kids' minds up before they even have a grasp on what reality is.
No, I agree 100%. But how do I don't know what you're saying? Oh, how do you not say that about other religions? You know what I mean? Like telling
Well, I
a little.
think all religions are fucked up.
Yeah. So I mean, I remember being like a little kid and being told you're going to burn or whatever, and being like, what the fuck? What burn? And then I'm like, I'll die. Well, no, you can't die in hell. So I'm like the burning goes on. Yeah.
Never stops.
And this is all for eating meat on a fucking Friday. This is because I like a hot dog.
Sounds harsh.
Have some shrimp.
And yeah, I'm all for Pancake Friday. Guess what? Can I have a little bacon with it?
This video looks like We Are the World. They're all arm in arm.
Yeah, they know so much about pop culture that they parody everything. Now, the fact that they're going to be doing the Paterno thing goes to show that this time some people are going to be on their side, going, "Yeah, Paterno is in hell."
Let's go. Let's
We're
show
not
the
reporting
church.
that. Here's Tyler. Tyler, you're on Manifest.
Hey, what's up, Ronnie B? Hey, as a Jew myself, I find this most offensive to Paul McCartney.
Well, it doesn't take away
it's an homage.
the great melody, and it's still. And I've said this before, and people get mad at me. It still might be the greatest song in the whole world.
I watched the video for it over the weekend randomly, and it really is the shit. I can't remember
It's
what the hell I
just
was watching.
fucking amazing.
I was like, shit,
is that
this
the
is
one
great.
where the Stones and all were sitting
Yeah,
around?
runs
them?
around. Yeah. It's like, holy shit, this is a fucking amazing moment.
Yeah,
And
it
an
really
amazing
was.
song.
I've seen that before too. Nathan, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Ronnie B, whenever the parents are teaching their children the truth and singing a little song that helps them to remember, I don't see how this is abusive. Taking in the ass, jacking your kid off, that's a little bit abusive. But singing a song about Jews and that they are the Christ killer. So, you know, I got a friend who's a Jew. I call him CK all the time. It's the truth. I don't see why people are getting so offended.
This is just the worst person in the world trying to get shocking.
He never did it, though.
And jockeying.
Who never did it?
His friend, he's calling him Christ Killer like he had something to do with it. It happened 2,000 years ago.
Well, a little more than that, but okay. You know what I mean? If we're going to go exactly, like if you had a time machine, you would have missed it by going back 2,000. I'm here to save Christ. Well, too bad for you.
Fuck! Oh, I only had one use on this. I can't even get back.
I guess
All
I'll play
right,
the
well,
stock
anyway,
market.
let me just stay with you guys. It's hot here. You don't have air conditioning?
No. Well, I have an idea.
Rick, you're in Manifest.
Hey, I live down in Louisiana with a bunch of evangelicals. They're still battling over Jerry Lewis. They don't know who the Beatles are. How does this family know these songs and that well that they could, they didn't even shoehorn the words in?
I will tell you this, Rick, since you live in Louisiana, if Jerry Lee Lewis is going to hell, he's going there playing his piano.
Fuck yeah.
Balls of fire.
Eric, you're in Manifest.
Yeah, hey, I heard that song. What a way to ruin a great Beatles song. I mean, I'm Jewish, and that song just ticked me off big time.
So every time you hear Hey Jude, you're going to be thinking about Reprobate Jews. Not this one, the 68. Fucking Paul
Not
McCartney's
really.
the badass.
A bunch of people around.
Should the state take their kids? Eric?
Yeah.
Would you think it would be right for the state to take the kids that these kids are abuse?
You know what? People think what they want to think. I mean, I'm not fond of anti-Semitism. I mean, due to the fact that I am Jewish. But the fact being is, people are going to teach their kids whatever they want. You know, they're going to teach them like the two with the Nazis or the neo-Nazis. You know, they're going to teach kids hatred of any sort. You know, and some families don't. You know, some families teach their kids to love everybody. You know, in a way, not love, but you know.
Oh, not sexually. Okay.
But everybody's equal. But then there are people out there that teach their kids, well, we're the white people. We started this world, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, there's always something comes up. Let's face it, even if you're in a bad mood and you yell at the fucking kids, it's probably mentally abusive. We've all been screamed at by something we didn't mean or smacked by something we didn't mean. But guess what? If you become a parent, you're going to do the same thing. Or else you're going to be that pussy dad who just wants to be the friend, too. And that's kind of abuse.
I hate that shit. You can bank on me, God forbid, ever have a kid. I'll just be a train wreck.
I hate the guilt fucking parents that are like, you're not really going to go out. We always do this.
Oh, that's the worst. That's so much. Oh, that's the fucking most terrible
What,
shit.
is that something that hits you a little close to the bone?
No, it doesn't happen that much, but they're definitely. Actually, I don't even know if it ever happens as much as I think it's happening and just kind of implant it in my own mind because I feel bad. I'm just like, oh, you gonna. Okay, I'm gonna go. Are you sure you're okay with me going? My mom will be like, yeah. Like she really won't care, and I'll somehow build it up in my mind.
Passive aggressive.
I've talked about this before, but I really do think like the only time you ever really second guess yourself is as a son or a father. You're just like, I could have done that one better. I could have been better at that. And I don't care who you are. You could have done it better. Let's go over Kyle, you're on Manifest.
Hello.
Yeah, what do you got?
Ronnie B, I need that song on iTunes. How do I download it?
See, it's just terrible. You can go over to the iBang. The IB Wire's got it. Scott, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Yeah, these guys are like definitely. There's the only difference between these kids and Islamic kids is they're not blowing things up.
There's definitely some true, but you can say that about any kids. Jarrett, you're on Run of Fez.
Oh?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. Hey, what happened to those kids? I think it was in Pennsylvania. They were named Adolf. State came and took those kids away.
It's a very fucking good point. Here's a big difference. All these Westboro Baptist churches guys are lawyers. And from what I understand, they know the law. They take advantage of everything they can in the law. And by the way, somebody, and I don't know who, bankrolls these people. Because they fly all over the fucking place.
Yeah, they are all over the fucking country constantly.
And they don't seem to have any kind of income that I can see.
They have a compound, right?
But they took one of their beefs to the Supreme Court and won.
Fuck. That's some serious shit. If you go
I guess it would be considered a compound. They're all together, but they're not like they're going to be able to live in regular neighborhoods. With those, you know what I mean? With that crazy shit. Ryan in Delaware. Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Ronnie. I was a freshman at Virginia Tech when all the shootings happened, and the Westboro Baptist Church came there. You know, a ton of students came out, and the kids of the family were just looking confused and scared. I mean, it seems like they're brainwashed because every time someone would yell something at them, they'd look to their parents like, what do I do? You know, they're just confused. They don't know why they're doing this.
Well, why would they know why they're doing? First of all, if I went with them, and I would be like confused, like I'd be saying, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this is a damn good fucking question. Why are we going to Joe Paterno's fucking neighborhood and saying that he's rotting in hell?
Because that's what we need people to believe.
People need to know. We have to get the word out there.
But do you take those kids away? Now, Big Fez Watley, I'm sure you got an opinion on this one.
Yes, I think they're totally abused.
And would you take them away?
Yeah, I would remove the little ones, yes.
Would you, of course, you're not going to remove the adults. Would you remove children that have been spanked?
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah.
Would you remove children that get screamed at by their parents?
Yeah, if it's more than an isolated incident, absolutely.
How many times would you scream at your kids before you were removed?
I would say a good pattern is probably like 5-6 times.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, God.
I would have been removed.
Everybody would be living in boarding schools.
My mom broke a wooden spoon over my ass once.
Oh, wow.
See, Fez has these memories as if, his were isolated, and he's tried to tell us, like, once my mom did this, and we all went, yeah, that happens when you're a kid.
I still think I was spanked as a child, but according to my parents, it only happened like 3 times. But I feel like I got spanked.
Well, it doesn't take that many times to be the thing that sticks in your head. And that's the thing about it. That's what would work, is that you remember it as something that could happen again.
I don't even understand why that's so terrifying for a kid. Because, like, as a parent, how do you know how hard to hit? Like, I feel like I would either do it way too soft.
Well, you just keep it going, I guess, up until you get it. I never fucking had to spank my kids, but that's because I can, take I can drop the fucking voice a little bit and everybody scatters. That's all you got to really do if you can pull it off. But if they don't trust you, which happens to women all the time, that they stop believing that you'll do anything, you've got to keep the fucking threat there, like you do with anyone in life. Like, no matter who you're dealing with, like, they could think, this guy might break my nose. He's kind of fucking crazy. Let's just make the business deal. Let's not really fuck him over.
Put that merger through.
Here's Adam in Kansas.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, I grew up around Westboro Baptist Church. That compound you speak of is actually in the middle of the city. It's a giant, 2-block thing where the church is in there. It's walled, but it's actually right in the middle of the city.
What city?
Topeka, Kansas.
Now, where do they get their money from, Adam?
They're all lawyers, so that's why they can take things to the courts, because every single one of Fred Phelps was a lawyer, but he's disbarred. But he's had 12 kids. 3 or 4 of the kids have gone away from the church. There's one guy out in California, and a couple of the other ones have nothing to do with it. And then the other ones that are in the church, the majority of them are lawyers. Now,
but do a lot of people there in Kansas feel good with one of these people taking their case?
No, but they're literally, they will not leave you alone. If anything, they've actually done pretty good for gay rights in Topeka, because everyone hates Fred Phelps so much. I mean, any cause they say, anyone will take the absolute opposite. But they're so powerful legally that you can't do anything to them. They'll tie you up in court forever.
I find it kind of fascinating. I really do. Did you ever read Choke? Did you guys read
Oh,
Choke?
hell yeah.
About the death fucking thing cult?
Yeah.
I always thought that was going to be like them. Like a cult that we all know so well that at a certain point, and for me personally, I find them fun. I've had them on the show a lot of times. They won't do our show anymore, right? They're mad at us?
Well, all the numbers that between me and Earl had for the direct contact with them is they're all cut off, and now we have to go through like a fucking publicity person for them.
So they never want to be friends anymore. Like,
Yeah,
not only
it's-
we used to be able to just call them at their house, and I used to just let her ramble instead of fighting with her. And I just find it fucking hysterical.
Yeah, it's
I can't get enough of it.
It's Shirley Phelps Roper's phone number in my fucking phone. It's how fucking weird is that shit?
Drunk dial.
The weird thing is, like, when they're younger, they're kind of hot, but then they all end up looking like her by the end of it. Like, you got to be careful marrying into that family because your pussy's going to turn into Shirley Roper.
Oh.
But you don't want a Shirley Phelps Roper pussy one day.
But that guy said that 3 of those kids got out of the family. Like, I don't know if you can just take those kids away. Like, I think it's abuse, but I don't know if you can take them away because eventually they will be able to make the decision for themselves, right?
Right, but not all of them do.
No,
I mean, this is obviously brainwashing, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Now, the fact of the matter is, we do brainwash our kids. We do. There's shit that you can't. You can say, I'm no longer a Catholic, and you'll be fucking weirded out by stuff. You'll be like, I don't trust my government, and then you'll find yourself feeling patriotic. And we get the kids with patriotism and religion at a very early age. And we do it because it's good for all of us. It's good for the state. Dave, you're on Run of Fez.
Hey, yeah, I live down the street from these guys, and what you got to watch for when they're out protesting is they've got people on the corners with cameras. You don't see them all the time, but they're watching you, and you mess with them, and they're going to sue you, and they're going to get your money. That's part of how they bring their cash in. Is they'll stand there.
I hear that, but I've never heard of a case that they've put against anyone. You would think that would get to be pretty famous.
Yeah, you'd think. But
let's go over here to Dan in Georgia. Go ahead, Dan.
Hey, Ron, I think you're absolutely right. If this is abuse, then all of us have been abused as children. I think it was one of the greatest parts of growing up, the time that I figured out my father was full of shit on a lot of different things he'd been brainwashing us on. I mean, I think that's that moment in life where you're like, I'm my own person now.
There is, thanks. The really fucking strange thing, and when you're raised, I can only speak about being raised Catholic and not fucking Protestant. I'm sure Protestant boys start to come out. But to a certain point where you and your friends start going, they've been telling us for a long time, and it does seem a little crazy. And you start laughing about it. And I'll never forget hearing the George Carlin Class Clown album when he started talking about the Catholic stuff and being at an age that I'm just like, holy shit. Finally, someone's fucking saying, this stuff. There's a fucking adult who gets that this shit is so crazy that they're laying out there. This is just nuts.
Someone actually realized it's not just us. Yeah.
Right.
It's fucking...
Because you're like, at a certain point, like, you'll be in church and like, huh? And then you look over at your mom. Your mom's like, oh, she's not going to fucking give it up. But then your dad doesn't really go. And he's like, no, you guys go. And like, but isn't that a mortal sin? They said you're going to, no, I'm fine. I'm making pancakes. When you guys get home, we have huge pancakes.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
I see at church I get hungry for pancakes because that's all my dad would make is pancakes the size of the fucking table. And then we'd go like this. Can you believe how big this pancake is? Your mother will never be able to make a pancake this big. And I'd be like, you're an unbelievable pancake maker.
Gigantic.
Let's go over here to Sean. Sean, you're on Run of Fez.
Hey, Ron. It was interesting to hear how Fez thinks you shouldn't parent a child, but I was wondering on how he suggests you discipline a kid.
I'm sure he's going to say yellow. Fez, how would you discipline a child?
I would teach him. I would talk to him. I would take things away that he enjoys.
Oh. What would you take away?
Like an Xbox or something. Video games.
What do you think that a kid is before you first have to start discipline?
I put him in his room.
This start at 14?
I wouldn't beat him.
But yes, we understand what you wouldn't do. What would you do?
I would give him timeouts. I would put him in his room. I would take away privileges.
And as you're doing that, he's pulling your hair and scratching your eyeballs.
Yeah.
I was in a fucking restaurant, and we're all having fucking breakfast, right? And this fucking kid, he wouldn't eat his food, and they try to give him some oatmeal. He's pouring it on the fucking table.
Oh, Jesus.
He's thrown out, and this is what they're doing. Carl. And I'm not even fucking kidding you. This is going up for like 40 minutes, and finally I'm like this. Hey, Carl, I'm serious, dude. You either eat that or you go out and sit in the car. I don't want to hear your name again. And the parents are all like,
What just happened?
Yeah, what just fucking happened? But they know, and like everybody's in the fucking restaurant, like, yeah.
Finally.
Fuck yeah. And I'm like, I will fuck up that whole family. I will beat that fucking family to death if I hear Carl again. And they had no fucking power. And I kid you not, the kid is like 2. The man was a late in life daddy. He was like, fuck, you know what I mean? He was some skinny fucking bald dude in his 50s who was just like, you shouldn't have had fucking kids, dude. In the same way, you wouldn't bring a dog in a restaurant and let him fucking run all over the place. And I'll treat any fucking kid like a person. I don't think I'm fucking better than a kid. But I shouldn't have to hear a fucking boy's name over and over.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Because he wouldn't fucking eat. And guess what? I get where they're coming from. This asshole kid's got to fucking eat something. They had all kinds of shit lined up for him.
Well, you're a hero in that
Now,
restaurant.
I wonder, under the whole your kids get taken away with the 6 yells, I wonder if that would count towards their yells or your yells, where you wouldn't be allowed to yell at your own parents.
I'll fucking throw my kids out the fucking window. They give me a shit that I see some of these fucking kids giving. There's no sense in it. You got a nice fucking house here. You know what it's like sleeping outside? You're going to fucking find out.
You know what?
You always try and run away when you're a kid. It's just shitty and you're not good at it.
Fuck this, I hate it here.
No, I was pretty good at it.
I went down the street
I never
with,
know- yeah, you didn't
with
know
my
where-
blanket and my bike.
What
I
do you-
had absolutely no plan.
I went to Lauderdale, and that was pretty fucking cool.
I'm in South Brooklyn with a bottle of vodka.
How old were you?
But seriously, like, could you give your parents shit? My parents had no fucking time for it.
I wouldn't give him shit to my mom. And the one time I really got into it with my dad, I was even older. I never would have. I backed down real quick when he because even though he was crazy
Fuck
old
yeah.
fuck.
You back the fuck down because he's got man strength, and at most, even when you got 17-year-old strength,
Yeah.
you ain't ready for man strength.
No, I was like, I'm getting out of here. I don't want any part of that shit.
He'll just fucking lean it on you.
Yeah, I don't.
And plus, what do you get out of it? You beat up your dad? Now, I understand if a guy's a fucking dick. But if a guy's going out of his way to make a fucking nice life for you, you know? I mean, the shit that you guys, well, I won't say fucking Hicks. But I'm going to guess you two guys. The shit that you took, you probably deserved.
Yes.
And
Oh, yeah.
that's it. That's the end of it. Doesn't even need to be discussed. I mean, I was fucking lazy. I was a fucking jerk off. And I would, my parents came, when my dad came home, was like, hey, if there was a party here, I don't know anything about it. I mean, I don't know why it smells like cigarettes in here and fucking stale beer. I'm as confused as you.
I was always back talking and sass mouthing, and even though
sass mouthing,
and they still, I don't know, I still never learned. Even though they hit me sometimes, I would still do it. So I don't know what you can tell a kid.
Here's the other fucking thing too, is like when a kid hits 13 or 14 and their voice starts to drop, the fucking father's ears go back right away, and he goes, "What?" Because you're like before, like you're like, dude, take out the trash. I'm gonna do it. Suddenly now it's like a man has just yelled. You know what I mean?
Not
like
child.
another fucking man just gave you some shit, not a kid. And you're just like, you immediately go from, hey, you'll be on a punishment to what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like you're in
Let's go,
fucking
fuck,
shit
let's go.
with another man. You're like,
Let's
fuck
fucking
this.
do it.
I ain't living like this. I'm not living with another man giving me shit.
Fuck, that's weird.
Here is Scott. Scott, you're on my Fez.
Hey, I've got a comment on Fezzi's disciplinary ways. We took in a 13-year-old, and it's a tragic story, but we took him into the house, and I've tried to reason with him. We'll send him to his room. We'll take away the Xbox, the 3DS, all the electronics gear, and he's happy as shit to sit in his room and draw. He'll do that for 5 days. It doesn't do any good with him. He'll just glaze over.
You are intern's parents?
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with the kid drawing?
Well, I want a little remorse, when the kid acts up. I want him to go in there and think about,
Don't make it about you. Make it about him. I mean, seriously, you can't break the guy. He's not Papillon. Well, I hate when people act like, here's what I want to... everyone's fucking happiness seems to be based on other people changing their fucking mentality. I was talking to this fucking friend of mine who's a woman, and they're like saying about the girl comedian thing, that a fucking person, a comedian, should not be known as a male comedian or a fucking female comedian, just a comedian. It doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, but we have black comedians, we have Puerto Rican comedians, you have a fat comedian. You know, you're going to get called names. You're going to get called a woman or a man in this world. Just start and carry yourself better. But I noticed that so many people in the world can't seem to be happy until the world changes. You know what I mean? Like, Matthew, you're on Run of Fez.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hey, I had a question. So, if you're gay, do you think you're going to hell?
Well, first of all, it's going to take a religious thing to do that. So I don't want to, I would have said I was agnostic, but the fact is I'm not sure what happens when you die, whether you just vanish into nothing, whether there's an afterlife. You can't prove or disprove what happens when you're done this plane of existence. For me, personally, I think that's fine. That seems like the choice between being something or nothing. I would take something.
Hell yeah.
Now, having said that, why is there something at all? That seems so much strange. Why is there a single molecule in nothingness? The single molecule seems like as much as a miracle to me as the heavens. So that's fucking weird. But having said that, if we're going to talk about the God of the Old Testament and New Testament, if I was that God, I don't want men down there sucking each other's dicks and pounding each other in the ass. What? I'll burn them up for it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Pussy only.
That's what I fucking made all this for? A bunch of guys in a circle jerk, a fucking daisy chain.
Just guzzling cum.
A bunch of brown dicks just fucking spending their day ass fucking.
And there's shit shooting out everywhere.
So in that way, I'm sure I agree with the Westboro Baptist Church. But that's even saying there is a God. I mean, if you are gay, roll the dice. Maybe there's nothing. So you have a fucking life of sitting in puddles of cum.
And piss and blood and shit.
Like backstroking in it. Just.
But, and then, see, the thing is, and I always think this is a defense. If the God of the Old Testament is true, and you die and you really, and in front of St. Peter, it seems like a reasonable defense would be, dude, you honestly couldn't expect me to believe those people. And that crazy writing in the book. I mean, if you would have pulled the fucking clouds back, stuck your face in now, and I could have seen you, just a giant face the size of America going, you heard me. You know what I mean? Treat me
Be better.
like a person.
Yeah.
Don't leave me crazy clues behind with assholes who believed in it.
They haven't had any updates to the book in, a long time.
And if I was gay, I would say to God, I ain't sucking dick here. Now I know.
It was just on Earth, I swear. Come on.
I just wanted to taste it.
There's also... Oh, that's new. That's new. That shouldn't even come up. I was really waiting for him just to jump up and do his gimmick of being on the other side. I mean, obviously, I was baiting to pull him in the show. Dying to have him as part of the show.
Oh, I thought you believed that stuff.
Whatever. I mean, the point is, there's no real difference either way, is there? There's no fucking difference. There's none. It's not so much... I can't imagine that you get to heaven looking for fucking miracles and this thing and going, why? I would actually say, why would I give them to anyone who didn't appreciate what I did with Earth? You motherfuckers didn't even appreciate the bees. You didn't appreciate flowers. I heard a couple of you that said the fucking Niagara Falls was dog shit. There's a lot of you people that run out of the rain instead of standing in it, feeling fantastic. Some of you guys stop sledding. I filled the entire East Coast with snow, and you stayed inside and said it sucked? No, you sucked, dude.
And then to
You're
start
the one who
sucking dick.
It's cold, though.
Top of it.
Don't you whine to me. I could fucking take my giant thumb and forefinger and squash your head out of existence.
Think he'd be a giant?
Belmore, you're on Fez. What, would he be tiny?
I don't know. I figured like
he'd be
people
fucking
size.
huge. He'd be
You're
dominating.
thinking of Jiminy Cricket.
No, I just think people size. Like,
No, he's bigger than us.
Ron and Fez. Ron and Fez's half year in review continues. Back to one of our favorite shows of 2012 so far on the Opie and Anthony channel.
Yeah. Pepper Hits here, producer, Ron Fez Show. It's Ron Fez's half year in review. It's been a hell of a last 6 months. Shit goes fast, dude. Coming up next on the best of Ron Fez's half year in review, we're going to talk about the militarization, I only fucked that up once, of police here in the United States. We're going to talk about how much money is being spent on small, tiny local police forces. Not the major cities, why they're getting a lot of money thrown at them too. The entire country, no matter how big your town is, the cops are looking like the military. And it's kind of scary. And we're going to talk about it next on the best of Ron and Fez.
Ron and Fez.
Now, let me tell you something. We've got a thing up. I mean, you wonder why we're broke, Dick. There's a piece up on the Interrobang with tanks on the flatbed trucks, and it was shot either by a listener or a listener I know sent it to us. And it's just tank after tank after tank. And I don't know what we're paying for a tank. But also this was sent to us by a listener. And it was sent sometime back, but I've been waiting to talk about it. And if people around the country, because Fez is anti-gun, and we talk about a lot of people who are, the tank thing rolling by. Now, every one of those tanks is about what, $800,000, $1 million?
Easily. For all the fucking equipment inside
I think
of
they're
it.
probably more than $800,000.
Oh my God! It pans to the left.
Yeah, it just goes on and on. But you wonder where our money goes. And
how many of these are actually going to get used?
There are some people that all right, we can do something with the military training. And then a lot of people who keep weapons at their house is because they are afraid sometimes of their own government.
Yeah.
And people like Ron Paul feel like the individual is bigger than the government. And Fez is like, why would you ever fear your government? You know, you're going to be fine with it. There's another piece out now. In the last 10 years, $34 billion has been spent arming local police. Now, I've talked about this a lot, that when I was a kid, what the fuck? Tanks cost $4.3 million each.
That's what it's saying. It says this M1 Abrams, which is the tank I looked up. They said this thing costs $4.3 million. So it's got to be at least in that neighborhood.
The high-end ones cost $5 million 10 years ago.
I want the interns to count tanks for me now.
Okay.
But anyway, let me get back to this. The $34 billion spent on riot gear. Yeah, where was I with $100,000? You can't fucking get an Escalade for that anymore. $34 billion has been spent arming the local police on riot gear, pepper spray, and drones, or making a military out of our local police.
All right, why do we need drones in America?
Watch over motherfuckers.
I don't.
But here's some of it. Largo, North Dakota averages less than 2 homicides per year. since 2005. In other words, in front of Hicks's house is more dangerous than all of Fargo, North Dakota. They just got a new $256,000 armored truck, complete with a rotating turret. They have spent $8 million arming their officers with other things, Kevlar helmets, and military assault rifles. Again, who are our local police afraid of?
Steve Buscemi.
In Augusta, Maine. Now, most of you probably aren't even all that familiar with this town. Population fewer than 20,000 people, where an officer hasn't died from gunfire in the line of duty in more than 125 years, bought 8 tactical vests.
Oh.
Des Moines, Iowa bought 2 $180,000 bomb disarming robots. Arizona sheriff, now the proud owner of an army tank. He also claims to have his own armada of private pilots dubbed Operation Desert Sky. Ogden, Utah, a 54-foot remote-controlled crime-fighting blimp with a powerful surveillance camera.
For what? What's happening there?
This is the thing. I remember years ago when you would hear of guys that would arm themselves and go up into the fucking hills and shit like that, that you were like, look at these paranoid assholes. No one's bothering them. But now every small 2-man police force suddenly thinks that they're in the military.
Armed to the fucking teeth. It's fucking frightening.
Montgomery County, Texas, Sheriff's Department owns a $300,000 pilotless surveillance drone. The same kind that hunted down the Al-Qaeda terrorist in tribal regions of Pakistan and Afghanistan. New York Commissioner Ray Kelly boasts this fall he had the secret capability to shoot down an airliner if one started to threaten the city again.
Oh, my God.
Now, I'm going to ask off the bat, just to the guys in here, and then I'll open up the phone lines. Do we really need to replace our old-fashioned local cops, Mayberry-type cops, with military cops? Now, I tell you, I see it here in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
I walk through military police that are hired by the city of New York.
With fucking machine guns just resting in their arms. And there's a bunch of them.
Now, having said that, there's no beat cop. We used to have the old beat cop in New York. Would be a guy assigned to a neighborhood. He'd walk around the neighborhood. He'd check in with the candy store, the liquor store. Hey, the kids behaving themselves. Wait, who was fighting with their wife? He would be kind of a part of the community, and he would walk around. But he would be a guy that wasn't overly threatening until he had to be, and then he was a cop.
Sounds kind of fun.
It was part of the community. Our new intern has counted the tanks. By the way, this guy is blowing past Fred like a fucking shot.
Day one.
Grab the mic, big man. What do you got? How many?
There were 107 tanks in the video.
107 tanks at $4.3 million each, all rolling by Santa Cruz. Let's go over here to Anthony and Huntington. You're on Run It Fez.
Hey, no different than all the firehouses on Long Island who have like millions of dollars of equipment. I got within a 2 miles as a crow flies. Ridiculous.
866 Run Zero Fez. 866 Run Zero Fez. Brett, you're on the Run It Fez show.
Just want to say, all you assholes who voted for Obama, congratulations. This is what you got.
Now, what do you fear with Obama?
What do I fear with Obama?
Yeah.
He doesn't respect the Constitution. He doesn't respect the rule of law. He they're running out of money because they've spent it all many times over, and they're going to come for ours and our money.
What about the
Patriots?
Patriots?
And why do we need, drones and tanks?
Now, just so you know, this is all over the past 10 years.
Yeah,
so it
I know.
started
Bush
with.
too. I understand that. But you know what? Obama, he was the anti-Bush, wasn't he?
Yeah, I will agree. I will agree 100% that he was the guy that was supposed to come in for change. And if you live anywhere in this country now, you are seeing local police coming closer and closer to the military all the time. And it used to be the right wing that worried about this. These were the guys, this was the reason that you had guns in your house in case you had to put together a militia against the government. And I always called those people crazy. And now I look around and I see the military. And I'm not talking about the U.S. military. I'm talking about local, privately stocked militaries calling themselves police departments.
They load the fuck up. I mean, there's no need for fucking drones.
Here's JR. You're on Fez. Let's move over. Your line wasn't working. Here's Brendan. You're on Fez.
Afternoon, buddies. Is this done? And I mean, Pepper could probably weigh in better than we can. But is this done under the guise of like the war on drugs? I mean, what are they?
It's a very good point. The war on drugs and the war on terror are two things that play heavily into this. And also, there was a shootout. Going back maybe 10 years ago in L.A. that I think it was L.A. that looked like the movie Heat, where these guys were really fucking loaded for bear. And that freaked out the government. Here's our buddy Just John. Hey, John.
Yo, Ronnie. A couple years back, we had, I'll start back maybe 15 years ago, man. Little podunk town in PA, Stroudsburg area. I get pulled over flying. I'm a young kid. I'm flying down the road, man. The cop comes up to me. He just tells me, slow down. This is no racetrack. He knows who I am a little bit. Well, 10 years later, this same little podunk town, now we got some kind of reconditioned bullshit tank that I don't know what the hell they do with it. They bring it down on a float for like parade time. I would bet the thing sits in a storage unit and don't even start if they really needed it.
You've come up with a really great point. I remember the cops in my town when I was growing up, and look, we still hated them, but those would be the guys of, you think your dad wants you out here? I want you to get your ass home, and I'm going to talk to your father. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the cops were like. They were members of the community who would say to you, I know you dudes are getting high, and if you think I'm not going to talk to your parents about it, you're out of your fucking mind.
Yeah, they were tied in. They knew everyone.
Yeah, they knew everyone. But now we have set up a separate fucking thing. And by the way, I'm sure that was just for white kids that had that, I'm sure it wasn't the same way everywhere. Let's go over here to Tim in New York. You're on Fez.
Hey, what's going on, Ron?
Yeah.
I just wanted to chime in. The part of the reason they're spending all this money is because after 9/11, the federal government gave all these grants for Homeland Security. Now, you see, our Senator Chuck Schumer here in New York has argued that we should get a bigger piece of the pie, but, everyone chimes into their own. You wind up getting these towns with 8 cops getting $1 million grant, and now you have some sheriff who's some local guy is now in charge of spending this money. So he's like a kid in a candy store with all this money, and he's going to buy all this crazy shit that he doesn't really need.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that kills me, though. Wouldn't you rather take that money, that $1 million, and even put it into the people? Just instead of them having a tank, is that those cops themselves would make a better living.
Absolutely.
So then we would attract even better people to those jobs, and it would get more competitive.
No one's. It's an instant gratification of having a fucking tank in your fucking garage.
A huge part of this has to do with the Homeland Security. And Chuck Schumer is exactly correct. I think if you happen to be in some inner city places, New York, D.C., Boston, L.A., San Francisco, are probably more security risks than some of these small towns that we're talking about. It also kills you with fucking government. Where's the common sense? I see I got loaded phone calls. Like I want to get to everybody here, but you can also go over to the IB Wire has set up a poll as well. It's a waste of money. It makes me feel less safe. I love it. The better armed we are, the safer we are. I'm not crazy about it, but I do believe it's necessary. Why don't you guys give me the numbers on them as soon as you can? I want to
All right.
keep up.
At 87%, it's a waste of money and makes me feel less safe. 5% are saying, I love it, better armed we are, the safer we are, and 8% saying, I'm not crazy about it. I think it's necessary.
Give me that again. By the way, this is in a box. It's not on the IB Wire, but it's got its own box. And I'm glad to hear from some of the police department, but give me those numbers again.
87% saying, it's a waste of money, makes me feel less safe. 5% saying, I love it, the better armed we are, the safer we are. 8% saying, I'm not crazy about it, but I do believe it's necessary.
Here's Brian in Pittsburgh.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
About 10, 12 years ago, so actually before they started ramping this up, I saw a graphic where they were mobilizing something in downtown New York, and they actually showed where the NYPD was the 10th largest standing army in the world at that time. So with all the other things that they've been buying up, I mean, how much has that changed over the last decade? And, you know, how many countries could the NYPD on their own go roll over? So do we really need it here? Probably not, but they're still going to keep spending the money anyway.
Yeah, because and it's become like an arms race, but inside our own country.
Only one person's racing.
Valerie in Detroit, you're on Run of Fez.
Yeah, I'm calling from Detroit, where we're living in a real-life battle zone. The kids are carrying AK-47s. The police officers do not respond. 2 to 3 days later, the suburbs are laying off, and it's coming to a point where we're going to have to call in the National Guard to become our police officers. There's no money in Michigan.
Now, why are we sending money everywhere other than Detroit? It seems like Detroit is someplace that if the federal government was going to help out, that would be a place. Why are they sending it out into the suburbs that don't need it when Detroit burnout shit stain that it's turned out to be?
No.
But not for long, because the cars are coming back. The car industry is up the last couple of years, and the new cars are looking cooler every year.
Oh, yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen. But as of right now, we got to look into it. Ed in Alabama, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Hey, Ronnie B., how are you today?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm totally against this. This has been going on for longer than 10 years. It has nothing to do with 9/11. You know, they've been pushing the cops. I'm a CCW carrier, so I have to study the law in my area, in the areas that I travel in.
Mm-hmm.
And if you sit down and talk to one of these cops, they don't have a clue what the law really is. You know, I'm tons of cops. You know, great people, great guys. A lot of them just trying to do their job.
Right.
But they don't have even for their weapons training. Most of them once a year have to take out their weapon, whether it be their handgun or if they're issued an AR style rifle, once a year, and go out and shoot it. And that's all they ever shoot. They don't have any rights. They need to pull all this. It's militarizing of it. The whole federal government militarizing the police department. They've even got something. If you look into it, it's called the Bubba effect. They've actually named it the Bubba effect for not the big cities, but the outside areas for when things go wrong.
All right, I appreciate you calling. Now, see, this is always the kind of guy that used to call the show, and I would disagree with. And I would talk to guys, and they'd be in the country, and they're like, you assholes, you don't have any guns, your cops have guns, and you're not going to be ready. I'm like, the cops aren't going to attack us. You got nothing to be paranoid about. But all this money in a broke society going out for military things, not for a cop, the way we think, not a new cop car, not sidearms,
guns,
tanks. Kevin, you're on the Run of Fez show. Kevin. We lost you, Kevin?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, hey, I look at these police today, and
back in the day when I was a kid, you'd look at them, they had their tie on, and, you know, they'd have nice blue uniforms. They look friendly, look really helpful. And now they seem to be paramilitary units with pockets and cargo pants on and machine guns.
And shields. And I've said this time and time again, is that you stop feeling connected to the local cops when they show up this way. We're talking about this movie that came out, and they have the cops dressed in the same way the riot gear, the same exact riot gear that they show up. And then, you know, also let me ask this. What happened to the Tea Party? Where the fuck is the Tea Party? Gone. They broke this thing out. These were the type of things that people like them were bringing to the table first. Why haven't they jumped into this at all? Let's go over here to Sam in Tennessee. You're on Run Fez.
Hey, Ronnie B, you sound like $1 million, buddy.
Thank you.
Hey, just wanted to kind of discuss. First off, I'm a local law enforcement officer in Tennessee, and you're right. A lot of these smaller departments that have these huge fancy toys, they're actually a joke in our community. You know, these small departments, like you say, with these expensive, you know, some of them even $1 million toys that they never get to use. But also part of that Homeland Security money has really benefited our department. You know, give us extra Kevlar rifles that you're kind of on the fence there. I mean, we face these arms, so it's really important that we can have at least the same, if not better, firepower.
Now, who are you facing that has the kind of firepower? What do these criminals do?
Well, I mean, typically, like I said, it's a rural area. Most of the homes around here, most everybody has at least a hunting rifle.
Okay, but what are these hunters doing that you got to go in there with rifles and Kevlar? Who are you looking for?
I mean, that's the thing. You never know, Ronnie B. That's why it's a preparedness issue. You know, you have to be.
But don't you see this as like an arms buildup? As you get more, they get more. We used to do this with our enemies. Yeah. Now we're doing it with our own citizens, and you're seeing the people who live in your community, Sam, as the enemy. And you haven't explained to me what they're doing wrong yet. Do you got a meth problem there? Is there something that these guys are armed about?
Absolutely. I mean, there is. Down here in the South, there is a huge meth problem. I mean, I'll relate this back to you. My father is a career law enforcement officer, like you were talking about. In his day, the Barney Fife mentality, you know, to this day, he's still an officer, and he doesn't even wear a vest. The new generation of law enforcement officers, you know, that's instilled in us to be prepared, and you never know. I mean, just the other day.
But that's what I'm saying, Sam. It seems like to me your father was more connected with his community, knew the people, and you're telling us that there's these faceless meth guys. I mean, in the old days, if we had the right amount of police, you would know who these guys were and what they were up to, because your police would be part of the community.
Yeah.
They would not be just some strange people doing shit. You would stop by. Hey, I'm not here as a cop, just as a neighbor. What are you guys doing? What's going on? You would start to know where the bad guys were. Let's go over here to Mark in Georgia. Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Ronnie B.
Yeah.
Here's one of the things that hey, I am all for. Let's arm our local law enforcement. Let's give them one step above what they're actually going to be fighting. You know, if the drug dealers are carrying ARs, let's give them let's give our cops full auto ARs. Let's give them all the Kevlar we can wrap them in. Let's give them decent vehicles to get out there with as well. But they don't need tanks. They don't need, you know, drones and the whole 9 yards. And another thing that one of the things that really gets me is I'm a big proponent of the Second Amendment. I'm armed to the teeth. Now, all of a sudden, it doesn't matter how many guns I've got and how many I can buy. It's getting harder and harder. We're looking at almost a 500% increase in taxes on ammunition. It's getting harder and harder for me to get ammunition. So, sure, we can arm our populace, but we just can't have anything to shoot with.
Welcome to the cigarette law. Now, Mark, why are you armed to the teeth? Who are you worried about?
Not necessarily that I'm worried. I enjoy going out shooting. There is nothing more therapeutic than just taking my AR and running 120 rounds through it.
Mm-hmm.
I like shooting skeet. I like playing with my handguns and going out and target practicing and all that kind of stuff. I don't even hunt. I did when I was a kid. But I also do believe that it's my right to have every one of these guns, assault rifles included, and, it's my right to have them and for me to go out and play on the weekends as long as I'm not a felon. I go through all the proper channels to have my guns. I should be able to go out and just blast away as much as I want to.
All right, I'm going to move
As
on,
long
but
as I'm
thank
not
you.
a threat.
Thanks for calling us.
you.
Let's go over here to Sean. Sean, you're on Fez.
Hey, Ron. Hey, part of the problem with where you see these small communities buying these weird items is they're budgeted a certain amount of money, and that money can't go towards the cops. It has to go towards equipment. And if they don't spend that amount of money, they have to give it back.
See,
And
this
if they
is
give
the
mon-
kind
if
of
they give-
yeah, I agree. I agree with everything that you're saying, but this is the kind of political bullshit that we get caught up into, and why we're getting to be a bankrupt fucking society where nothing works anymore because common sense is out the door. And if you need more police, or if you need better police, then I think that is going to serve every community more than a drone or a tank
or machine guns.
Or machine guns for faceless fucking enemies. Who knows what's out there? They're saying.
Decked
We
out in
got
black.
into the war on drugs, which we've talked about this before. Like, at what fucking point are we deciding that these drug addicts are fucking criminals? And if we took over the drug distribution business, could we take it away from the doctors? Because how many times do you go to a fucking doctor office and all the dope addicts with their fake backaches are in there?
Need Noxies and fucking Roxasets and Percocets and just buying just retarded amounts of these fucking pills at a shot.
And they've corrupted our fucking medical system.
Yeah, a lot of I was talking to my buddy who works in a pharmacy in Brooklyn. They don't even fill prescriptions. They don't even fill prescriptions for shit anymore because they're just fucking afraid.
They're just too fucking tired of it all. Here's Bob in Pittsburgh. You're on Fez.
Hey guys, the problem with this whole thing is not arming the law enforcement. It's the billion and trillion dollar contracts that are awarded to the people that manufacture it. They could be making widgets or whatever. It's just all that money. They just need a customer for it, so then they distribute it to all the different agencies.
It's exactly right. But we used to deal with this just with our military. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was always the problem of us, buying. You always hear the things for years of, we're buying stuff for the military we just don't need or want, blah, blah, blah. And all that money always goes into that, never into some fucking staff sergeant.
Oh, fuck no.
Who while he's in Afghanistan, his wife has to go pick up some fucking food stamps to make ends meet. It always becomes about the merchandise, never about the people. Tell me where we are right now on the poll. I'm very, very curious about it. And by the way, you can also put comments up. It's over on the iBang. It's got its own special box there.
Right now, still 83% for it's a waste of money and makes me feel less safe. 7.3% saying I love it, and then 10% is I'm not crazy about it, but I do believe it's necessary.
Yeah, let's go to Blake. Blake, you're on Fez.
Hey, Ronnie. I'm in Racine. We spend millions every year on
Absolutely.
police.
By the way, you might need it.
Yeah, well, we do, and they're not doing anything. And I'll get to my point here real quick. We've got little kids in town, 15-year-olds breaking into houses constantly. They can't catch them with these millions that we're spending. I gave my Wi-Fi passcode to a cop that my dad hangs out at the bar with. He sits in my lot at my shop, and he sits on the internet, and my shop is safe, and it was free.
You've never heard of Racine, Wisconsin before, Zeitz? I see you making a face. No. I was a little kid there in the carnival and saw the whole fucking Midway just Looked like, and I got to be careful about it, but, coming over the hills.
Okay.
Just grabbing shit, taking shit, running. It
I'll
was a
explain
fucking
it really.
madhouse. It
I'll
was a
explain it
madhouse.
really quickly for you
There
guys.
was no order.
On the Underground Railroad, we were one of the first stops. If that makes sense.
Let's go over here to Griffin in Chicago. You're on Run and Fez.
Hey, Ron. Yeah, I'm a fireman in Chicago in the burbs, and I'm sure a lot of cops will call in, a lot of firemen. Every year we fight our cities and our villages for like a 1% or a 2% raise, and but we keep buying $1 million fire engines, tanks. I mean, it's crazy, but they love to buy the stuff, but they refuse to.
I don't get it. I've heard the same friends from friends that work in public television around the country that they will have studios that they can't even get to and new equipment because if they don't take it, they lose funding. Now, they don't even have enough people sometimes to run this stuff.
Jesus.
But they will have studio equipment that, we could all go in there and start our own little fucking production studio with.
Let's have a shoot.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's fucking get some shit down.
Let's do it.
And I mean, it'll be in perfect, pristine shape because they don't have the skilled people there who know how to use it.
Yeah. That's nuts. It's fucking waste.
And the thing is, it just becomes obsolete because no one uses it, and then you just have to get more. It just perpetuates.
Let's head on over here to Jay in Kansas. You're on Run and Fez.
Hey, Ronnie, the reason that where this all started, you remember back in the late 90s when they was that bank robbery? I think it was in San Francisco.
Yeah, I talked about it. It looked like it was out of the movie Heat.
Right, you had two guys, I think it was either 2 or 3 guys, they had full armament, they had military-style weapons, and the police was sitting there with 6-shot revolvers, and most of the police officers that responded either got wounded or died. And that preparedness for that situation is why they have to have this stuff. Now, tanks...
But here's the interesting part of it. Here's 2 guys that could cost our country billions of dollars. Just think of how much money that we spend on this one strange case that hasn't happened before or since.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no other fucking heat scenarios going on in fucking New York. AK-47 shootouts with the cops.
And somebody, and seriously, in Puppy Balls fucking Michigan, doesn't have to worry about this.
That sounds delightful.
Send this money to places that need it. Send it to fucking Racine. Send it to Detroit. Send it to the south side of Chicago.
Ron and Fez's half year in review continues. Back to one of our favorite shows of 2012 so far on the Opie and Anthony channel.
I'm fucking throwing live cuts up in this motherfucker. It's Ron and Fez's half year in review. This next segment is very exciting. What's coming up? Abel Ferrara. If you don't know what that name, it's the man who directed Bad Lieutenant, King of New York, and his new film, which he came in to promote, 444, Last Day on Earth. The man is a New York legend, a legendary director. And it was a ridiculous thrill to have him come into the studio and for Ron to interview him. Really just one of the original New York characters and just a fan. Oh, he also went to my college, SUNY Purchase. I have something in common with Mr. Ferrara, so I feel good about myself. So, Ron Bangs interviews Abel Ferrara. That's coming up next on the best of Ron and Fez.
Ron and Fez.
Lit cigarette, blindfold in place. Your time has come. 20 steps away. Throw it away. It's the last day. Your time has sweet Detroit to the Great Plain. They bared his heart. He watches and waits. He knew it would come, like the wind and the rain. Get on your knees and pray, on your knees and pray on the last day. Silver and gold taken away, they loaded it up. The kings and the slaves, Duke Ellington's hand, touching her face, all is his, 'cause he gave it away. His kingdom gone, without a trace. I'm talking to you, throw it away, throw it away, let's sit away. Get on your knees and pray. It's the last day, the last day. It's the devil's work, so let the devil pay. Watch what we got, then do it our way. That's what they say, that's what they say. Just throw it away, throw that shit away. Gone is gone, gone is gone. Let's say, throw the rest away. It's the last day, the last day on earth. It's the last day, the last day on earth.
Right, Francis.
That's the last day on Earth.
Rock man, Francis.
You love that too. You love that song that ends the
I
film.
love the way he plays it, man.
Yeah.
I like that guitar. I love the way he sings too. Yeah.
You co-wrote that song with him?
Yeah.
Abel?
Yeah. Last day on Earth. If the world was made of dirt, no, you kill me for gold. If the world was made of dirt.
You love music
What's it worth? Yeah.
just as much as film, right?
Yeah, we started off as wannabe guitar players, in a band with the guys, with Nicky St. John, who was my, screenwriter in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Wrote King of New York, The Funeral, The Addiction, and Mac, the guys I work with.
You know, I don't know why that's always surprising that people who write also could do music and do film, because, it's almost like in sports, if a kid can play football, he can also play basketball and baseball, and the artistic kids are drawn, but we start to specialize as we get older.
Yeah. But that's the kind of thing about being a director. It gives you, you're a little bit of a writer, you're a little bit of a photographer, you're a little bit of a musician, you know.
Editing plays into it the whole time, acting for you too.
Right.
We were talking about this film, and by the way, I just love the hell out of Last
thank
Day
you,
on
man.
Earth. And
Thank you very
it's one of my, Willem Dafoe and Shannon is terrific. I mean, the way that these two can hold you throughout the film, I think, is amazing.
Yeah.
What brought the idea on? What made you think of this concept?
Obviously that question's always asked. Where the creative idea comes from, who knows? But, this isn't the first time that when you get to the end game, there's 3 or 4 other films, similar. Right? I mean, it happened with the gangster films. It happened with the vampire film. So obviously there's something out there, whether it's 2012 or, maybe just getting older. You know what I mean? You start seeing, the end of something.
Well, we actually were having the conversation before you got here of, is it better to die alone or to die when everybody goes out together? But I still
always
think,
die alone. Man.
Yeah, it's still alone, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's still alone.
You always die alone.
So even the concept.
Born alone,
yeah.
you die alone.
Is this something that that gives you a lot of thought?
Well, I think what you're saying really is what the point of the film is. You know, being together. First of all, can you keep that relationship together?
Right.
You know, it's two people here, and but they're going through their things. You know, they almost didn't end up to at the end. You know, I don't want to give away what happens. But,
Right.
You know, and saying goodbye, and how you say goodbye, and who you say goodbye to. You know, and if you have to say goodbye.
And loving people for their imperfections as well. You know, that both the people in this
In
film,
sickness and in health.
yeah, they're not perfect people. They do a lot of things that, as a viewer, you're going, come on, you could give them a break right now with all the shit that's going down.
Yeah.
But is it fun having, keeping a small cast? Because you had such a great place that you shot in on the Lower East Side.
Right, Spencer's, right.
And a brilliant idea of the way you use technology in this. You're using Skype and in a way that I never really saw used before. And there's so
But
much.
it's just the way it's used. I mean, right? I mean, it's just what it is.
Right.
I mean, you see everybody Skyping, everybody's on their iPads, everybody's on their, they got their phones, right?
Right.
Their cameras, rather.
But you're telling
Great camera.
Yeah.
Not great phone. I'm sorry.
They're not fucking phones anymore, are they? There are cameras that you can kind of hear each other talk through.
Well, some better than others. But AT&T better get their act together.
But you, in this film, you kind of let. There's a lot of directors, I think, that would have let some of the wisdom that you let come through the computer. You have some holy people, some thinkers like Joseph Campbell.
Right.
They're kind of talking in his background that you focus on, but I think a lot of
foreground.
There's a lot of people that would have said, "Well, I'll give that same thoughts to my characters." You know what I mean? And you didn't do that. They didn't suddenly have so much more wisdom than they would have throughout the rest of their life, I don't think.
Well, who's going to have the wisdom of Joseph Campbell or Dalai Lama, Or, you know what I'm saying? Even Charlie Rose in some way.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on Charlie Rose.
Are you doing Charlie Rose?
Yeah.
And you've never done it before?
No.
Yeah.
That's like, well, I mean, it's an honor to be here, too.
Well, I appreciate that, but Charlie Rose is a little further along. I wouldn't give you credit for that.
But anyway, back to what the point?
Well, the point I'm saying that
the iconic type.
Yeah, that you let some of this collected wisdom of the planet come through in a way that I don't think I've ever seen anybody else do before.
In terms of just focusing on these people saying their own words.
Yeah, having them say their own words and having the fact that these words always existed and we probably didn't pay a lot of attention to it. But here at the end of our lives, of course we wanted to hear what Joseph Campbell thinks. Of course we want to hear what the Dalai Lama or the Pope has to think, for that matter.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a scene, unfortunately, we had to take out, was he was watching the Green Bay Packer game with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Remember that? The
Ice Bowl?
Yeah. Willem was actually at that game.
In real life?
Yeah. But we couldn't get the NFL to give us the rights to drag.
So it was just going to show up on the TV too, and for him to say that.
But he was in bed. It was another bed scene, and only Shannon was like, he was rubbing her butt.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful scene. Just from that standpoint. Never mind seeing Lombardi and that whole bit. But, the events of, they're basically the greatest hits of him and her.
Right.
Seeing the Dalai Lama. And, it's our greatest hits,
Right.
When, it's like, what are you going to take to a desert island? But what are you going to take to a desert island when you only have one night to watch it?
Right. I thought it was so interesting that you let the film come into the place where acceptance had already taken place. That
we're down the line with this. This isn't the first moment that they find out.
Yeah, so we're not going through all the stages of death here. It's basically at the end.
Right.
And there was another part, of course, I don't want to give away what directions, but he's a guy in recovery and goes to see some old friends.
Right.
And we're kind of left to wonder, does he go to see them for his old friendship or does he go to see the cop?
Well, he's going, I don't want to give it away too much, but that's really the point of the film. I mean, he's a user, he's in recovery, he's at, he has like 2 years or whatever it is, and then comes the point: if the world's going to end tonight, what's the point of being sober?
Right.
And that becomes like a key scene, a key event in the film.
Right.
This discussion with Paul Hipp, who is also in the program with my girl. Oh God, what's the star? What's the girl in that scene?
Is it Natasha?
Natasha Lyonne. Okay, she's also in recovery.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. What I mean, but these people talking about that point.
Well, he was amazing because he reminded you of the kind of guy that can pull you out of those things when you're in them. You know what I mean? Like you know that he had to have that background to be able to sit there and just say the correct thing. Because when I was watching it, I mean, do I get fucked up again or not is something I always thought about. And I have a friend who was in recovery, found out that he had cancer, and immediately started talking about the morphine that he would be getting,
In which kind of way?
In the way of, hey, no matter what happens, at least I get that morphine. Like he was almost craving the end of his life, knowing that he was going to get this morphine.
Well, when you're an addict, you're an addict, and that's just the way it is, unfortunately. And that becomes a big deal, when even cats like that have to have dental work done or with any, and that's how a lot of people get strung out, Oxycontin and, these quote unquote miracle drugs, hillbilly heroin or whatever it is. I mean, it's a serious, serious way. I mean, they're handing out Oxycontin like it's, aspirin.
Yeah. And a lot of those people don't know that they're, getting what we would consider, a fun street dope to do. They think they're getting medicine.
Real fun.
Yeah. And at first, everything's always fun at first. But they are coming into it from a different way.
From ignorance, it's really, it's a crime, it's criminal,
If it was up to you, nothing would be, you would never consider making drugs legal for the people who want them,
No.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you're going to get them if you want them. I mean, you're not going to put it out there.
Right.
I mean, it's,
I know some people that didn't even know they had a gambling problem until the casinos
Until they had
started.
no money left.
Yeah. Then when casinos pop up everywhere and it became easy, they're like, shit, I fucking lost all my money.
Yeah, how about the lottery? And how about casinos where people are drunk?
Yeah.
Okay? And how many hearts are broken? How many families are destroyed? My father was a degenerate gambler. So, I mean, I wouldn't make a bet on anything,
Did you ever have the pull towards gambling? Was gambling?
No, not at all. I mean, I saw it. I mean, it's funny. I shouldn't say not at all. I mean, it's one of the vices that my father had that I didn't have, thank God.
Yeah.
And, but, I saw it. I mean, my father was a bookmaker. I mean, he's gone now, so I could say it. And, may he rest in peace. My father was like an awesome guy. But, there was a big difference when he was taking the action, taking bets.
Right.
And we were living large. And then when he started turning around and becoming his customer, and being a player. And then we were out in the street,
Right.
I mean, he just couldn't stop. And, it's really a sin when you mix alcohol and gambling with people on top, anyway.
A lot of people don't want to gamble unless they're drinking anyway. You know what I mean? Like they need it all together.
Right, yeah.
But isn't it also interesting too when you're an addictive personality is that it's hard to even understand the addictions that you don't have? Like you could sit there and be there's a lot of coke addicts who go, oh God, I would never do heroin.
Right.
Those people are fucking sick.
Right.
I don't understand gambling. But
Right.
everybody will make the excuses for their own addiction.
Yeah, right. That's part of being an addict.
Addiction has always played somewhat of a role in a lot of your films. And it isn't... to me, your films are always the most realistic version of addiction. Like, I never sat around and watched, let's say, Scarface and really felt like this guy was really fucking doing coke and enjoying it, But when I'm watching your films, I can feel the addiction. I can feel it there. Do you think that's something that's only somebody who struggled with that can really tell the story?
No, but it helped for us, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Harvey Keitel in your films is almost to me just at the fucking gates of hell. Literally stand there.
He's beyond the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not at the gate.
Is it great?
He's in the front row.
Yeah. Some of the great actors that you worked with, Walken, Defoe in this film, you worked with Keitel. Do you always need that person that can really go the distance for you? Is these the type of actors that you need as much as like to get?
I mean, you need the best of everything. I mean, you know, you need the best DP, you need the best, you know, designer, you need the best in yourself as a director. You know, I mean, that's the point. You need the actor that you need, and you have to know who it is you need, and you have to know what it is, you know, you want from them in a way, you know. Or you have to have, let me say it differently. You need to have the relationship with them to get what the film needs.
That you're going to know that before you even show up on set. You got to know that you're already connected.
Willem and I have done 3 films together.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference between New Rose Hotel and, you know, where he and I were at, you know, at that time. And, you know, the trust level and just the working level, you know. I mean, it's just, we know each other's moves. We understand each other. We're 3 movies down the line.
So these relationships, as they get stronger outside of the set, they're going to be stronger on the set as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about relationships.
I think it's also interesting too with your career that you've been through so much different technology. The way you shoot a film has changed, the sound has changed, the way you edit has changed, and some of the smaller things I see you doing on the Film Annex, I think is just amazing. Because we never would have got this years ago.
You got a new webisode out called Pizza Connection.
And what's that one about?
It's on. It's like a comedy, black comedy, with Danny Fogler and Shannon, about kind of based on the real Pizza Connection, only in its modern day. You know, so it's on Vice TV.
Oh, Vice TV.
Today was his first day out. But with my website, abelferrara.com, you know, that's part of Film Annex. And we're doing the same thing. You know, we're doing we're starting this webisode. I'm doing this thing on dreams. Like really trying to capture what a dream is really like. You know, so.
It's the toughest thing in the world, too, right? To try to figure out.
Do a dream?
Yeah, to do a dream sequence.
Yeah, right.
But isn't it interesting now that you, to see how your career has changed so much? Like, I love the documentary stuff that you've done, and I love just seeing you do a 2-3 minute piece. So the stuff that you did, like, on Occupy, where you're just walking around, not sure where, what your idea is going to be.
Yeah, right.
This is stuff that you never would have been able to do 10, 20 years ago.
You kidding? I mean, when I started, you couldn't even film New York at night. You know, it wasn't until Kubrick, through Barry Lyndon.
Right.
Basically invented the equipment and the film stock. I remember, Kodak chemtone processing, where you could, the 1.9 lenses that you could actually shoot at night without lights. I mean, it was revolutionary. And now with this, I mean, I'm holding up a 4, my great camera, my terrible phone,
Do you feel like you could just sit there and shoot with that phone better than you could for a lot of the stuff that you were shooting in the 70s with the film stock that you had?
Well, no. Well, I don't buy the digital. I'm still a sucker for negative. I feel at this point, for me, I should shoot negative, and then at that point you go totally digital.
Right.
In the editing process and in the sound process, and either in the color correction process. But I think something about the silver, the actual silver on it, it's a different, gives you a different thing that you just can't match.
Yeah, because you need that texture, you need that same feeling.
It's the shadow of silver, man. It's not ones and zeros,
What about the next project? Do you already have another film lined up? Ready to
My
go?
man Strauss-Kahn.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Dominique Strauss-Kahn.
Talk about addiction. And with Depardieu.
That's unbelievable. You've never worked with him before?
No, I never worked with him, but we met. I had met him way back when at that film festival that Coppola has in the middle of the Rocky Mountains. Telluride. But we were with him a few months ago to talk about the project, and he's like, he's a real deal, completely.
Well, the weird thing is when he got busted, I was down doing grand jury at the time,
Oh, you're
so I
kidding.
was already part of that.
You were there, you were in the room with him?
Well, no, he wasn't in my room, but when I showed up one day, I mean, I had to do it for like a month. It was like the entire world's press had showed up around the courthouse. It was a fucking madhouse. And then in the middle of it, there were these maids lined up with, they were wearing their costumes and they
we're
were
gonna shoot
protesting.
that. Yeah, that's definitely in the film.
And it was just
Surreal,
phenomenal.
right?
Yeah, man, it
Surreal.
was like you walked into
As if
Philadelphia
she was,
store.
as if she was a maid, you know.
Yeah. So the madness of that entire thing that, you know, here's a guy that we hadn't really even heard of in the States.
Right.
And in one day, he's easily the most talked about guy on the planet.
Yeah, and sitting in the tombs, you know, going from the head of IMF to running, you know, going to be the next president of France, and then
Yeah.
the next minute, you know, handcuffed and thrown in jail like a common criminal.
So is Depardieu going to do this in French, or is he going to do it in English? Have you guys worked that
You're
out
going to
yet?
do it the way, you know, Strauss-Kahn did it. You know what I mean? Dominique speaks. When he's with his boys, he's speaking French, you know.
Yeah.
When he's, you know, at IMF, when he's, you know, when he has to speak English, he speaks English. You know, when he's in a court, when he's going through the system, I'm sure he's speaking English, you know.
So what attracts you to a story like that is just the extremes of it, you know?
I think when you really, you know, get into, you know, it started off with, when it first happened, the event happened in the room that we shot New Rose Hotel in. At the
Wow.
Sophie Hotel. Did you see New Rose Hotel? Yeah. Okay. Those opening scenes, but a lot of the movie was in that room. So I says, wait, something's going on here. Right? I mean,
You just feeling that connection right off the bat.
right off the bat.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is, you know, something. Then, you know, I'm wondering why, right off the bat, he's such a criminal. Like they're saying this, you know, they have this against that. You know, what's going on here? Why they, you know, I thought that would be a little prejudicial, you know, to try to say all these things about a guy that they just had him in jail for a day or 2 days. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the immediate feeling was, oh, he's so incredibly guilty. Oh, he's crossed the line. It became this thing. And then the rest of the story comes out. As a matter of fact, they tried to even put him, when he had to stay in the city, up on the Upper East Side where I live. And there was so much protesting and so much press that the building backed out of it. They were panicked about him coming into the neighborhood.
Yeah, I know. He's like, you know, the werewolf, right?
Yeah,
You know,
right.
I mean, whatever it is. I mean, it just shows what you can do to anybody, you know, what the press can do with, you know, it's scary in that regard. I mean, no one knows who this guy is. No one had any, like you said,
Right.
no one had any idea who and what he is. But now everybody knows what. He's a rapist, he's this, he might be, but
Right.
you don't know that, you know.
But you are right about the press. Like, one thing I remember walking through that day is the hysteria feeling from the press, you know, that they were just all pumped up.
Yeah,
They were all
you don't
losing
get a
their
story
shit.
like that every day.
Yeah. And talk about, you know, an addiction. I mean, they were, you know, tying off on this story. They were fucking loving it.
Right.
Um,
What do we say about in the script? We say it's like sex, drugs, and rock and roll without the drugs and rock and roll.
Did you?
The
Is
drug
this
of
one?
choice is Viagra for these guys? You know.
When you write, do you write fast or does it take you a while? When you write a script.
You know, the stuff that comes fast, you know. And, you know, it comes when it comes. And then, you know, it really depends. You know, I started off with my childhood, you know, soul brother, Nicky St. John.
Yeah.
And in those days, like, the script would come from him. The funeral would come completely written. The addiction was totally written. Miss 45, I didn't even know he was writing them. You know, and I would get the script, you know, beautiful.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we would work from that, you know, to a very specific thing. And then when he just, you know, had enough of the business and the people in it, you know, then I worked with Zoe on The Bad Lieutenant. You know.
Zoe was so unbelievably talented too, man.
Yeah, that's another shame. You know, that was a drug casualty. You know, someone. You know, it's really sad because she really had the gift, and you know, she had so much more to give. But You know, she made that choice, and that's what happens.
There also almost seems like there's like with Zoe, almost like an Edie Sedgwick type cult about her too. Like when you go on the internet, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of pictures of her up, and she's this image that she has just is so attractive to young men that you know
attractive to young women. I mean, it's attractive to anyone. I mean, because she had the, you know, she backed it up with talent. You know, talent as an actress, talent as a musician. Talk about the cross. You know, she was, when I first met her, she was. I mean, she was a teenager with going to Columbia. You know what I mean, on a music scholarship. Okay, clean as a whistle, man. You know. Okay, so there's a long way from the girl in Bad Lieutenant. You know, but then we lost her, and I started working with Chris Zoyce, who's a a writer, a great writer, a psychiatrist, writes books on that, you know, is a novelist. So he's working with me on Strauss-Kahn. But 444 kind of did it. You know, what we do, I work with the same guys I've always worked with. You know, Kenny Kelch is DP, Frank DeCurtis is the designer, and Tony, you know, well, now I'm back with Tony as the editor. But, you know, so when I start writing, I don't want to get too far, you know, first of all, I want to get too far past Willem, you know. Right. So, you know, I kind of say, hey, you interested in doing this? Because if you don't have him, you're not going to do the movie, you know. Like, you're not going to do a movie. Well, I mean, there could have been other actors, but at this point, you know.
You want to go in with the whole project.
I want to know he's there for it in the beginning, and then we start from that point. I get his, you know, feedback and his input, and then I start taking the next step of the project. And, you know, all the while, you know, talking with Frankie, the designer, and the DP, you know what I mean? So we're kind of designing it and thinking how we're going to shoot it, you know, so then it kind of evolves, and then we get further along. You know, I don't want to get too far ahead of, you know, I don't want to go someplace that maybe they're not willing to go.
Right.
You know, or maybe it's not where he feels comfortable with. So it's kind of a group thing.
Well, sexually, they go pretty far in this film. But not only that, emotionally, they go to some places that I guess there's going to be, you know, there's a scene where Shannon just loses her shit that I'm like, I don't know whether this was improvised on the spot or whether she always knew that she was going there. That's tough scenes. There's another scene with Willem when he's out front, standing next to the ledge and yelling down at people that is like so chillingly real, you know, that I'm wondering, does that stuff...
telling his landlord, how's the 2.5%?
Yeah, it's fucking so great.
How's your 2.5% increase a year feel now?
That was amazing stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I say, you know, we've got the ideas are down. We start, you know, working on them. We start developing them. We start going a little bit further with them, you know. And, you know, it's something that's done together. You know, this film is like a group trip in terms of even the financing and the ownership. We all own the film, you know,
right,
with Wild Bunch.
So you just feel like everybody who's on that set is kind of partners in this. Everybody's
in any film. I mean, any film. I mean, you know, the camera is going to reflect every heartbeat on the floor, you know. And if everybody's not pulling in the same direction, and everybody's got it in you know what I mean. You know, the camera picks it up, you know. I mean, the lenses get it, you know, digital or, you know, celluloid. You're going to feel, you know, that's what you're feeling. That's what you're seeing when you're seeing a movie. You're seeing the group. You're seeing as much behind the camera as in front of the camera.
So can you feel it on the set, Abel, whether this stuff is working or not? Do you know?
Well, that's what I'm getting paid for.
Yeah.
So I better, you know, I mean, somebody better. You know, I mean, that's basically my job, is to see if it's working.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because you really, for a director, no one ever knows until the film is done if you know, if you're doing your job, right? I mean.
Well, the way that you've worked so independent over the years, would you have rather worked that way, or do you wish there was some studio who just said, dude, we trust you, we know?
Well, we got guys now that kind of like that. You know, we work on Wild Bunch, and, you know, we've been with them for 3, 4, 5 films, you know. The thing now is it's a very well, it's always been very rapidly changing, you know. Anybody in the business, really in the business, knows that. And right now it's changing big time for everybody. I mean, from the, you know, this head of the biggest studio to the most independent kid coming out of school. You know, what are they going to do? How are they going to do it? Where are they going to get financing in an economically, trying times? What is the internet really going to give you? Is it going to be a corporate ripoff? Is it going to be a total destruction of the artist? Or is it going to be the great gift that we're all looking for? Who's going to put an artist in touch with his audience without anything in between?
But it's amazing, like, with your experience, you still have to be on the hustle like that. You still have to be the person
But
figuring
everybody
that
is.
out.
The
man.
idea, maybe there's Spielberg here and there, but the idea
Right.
of somebody just picking up a phone and saying, you know what I'm going to do next? Send the money down.
Right.
That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen with anyone. Maybe a handful of people. Like
Yeah.
that. It's not that. You have to convince a film. You have to convince. First of all, you have to convince the guys you're with that it's worth doing. You know what I mean? I'm surrounded not by yes men, by you know what I mean. I wish I
Right.
had some yes men. I'm with guys like, you better prove it to them. Why are we doing this and why are we not doing that? And you got to sell your position. And then you got to do it with the financing, and I think that's for everybody. I don't think there's no easy way to do this.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm here and there's someone else is somewhere wonderful.
I love the fact that, like, some of the documentary work that you've done, like with Mulberry Street and the Chelsea Hotel piece, which
Right.
now more than ever, the interesting thing about the Chelsea Hotel piece is that's going to sit as a piece of history in a lot of ways, maybe even more than any of your other films, because so many stories were told in there that will never be told again. You know what I mean? That people are going to want to know about so many of those artists that lived in that.
Yeah, we have 40 hours of, there's a perfect example of where the internet could really play. Francesco's shown a lot of that stuff on Filmatics, the stuff that we didn't put. You only have 90 minutes and you're trying to create something. But when you have 30 hours of, have Dennis Hopper talking for an hour, there's a movie right there.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? We barely use them for whatever ridiculous reason, you know what I mean? And I have Final Cut, so I am no one to blame but me. But it was really interesting. Jen did Jen Gation, the producer. She did her homework. We moved in there, and every day she'd send us to another room, and you knock on a door, and you wouldn't know if it's going to be some old woman who's in like a closet who hasn't left in 3 months, or you're going to open up to an 8-room, spacious, house and garden type,
right,
off the hook,
with fine
place.
art all over the walls, and
it was unbelievable. You can't believe what's behind every door in that place, and the people, and the stories, and the music, and what's happened, and
Well, I don't know. That place may be ground zero for, creativity in the last century. There were so many great artists that came out of there, and all feeding off each other and that whole thing. And that film is so great, but to know that you've got another 29 hours that you could just release conversations here and there, I think is just phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
444, Last Day on Earth. How are you releasing this one? Is it
IFC,
gonna be
man,
on
top
demand right off the bat?
Yeah, definitely, because it's already on. We got the lawyers every day on top of YouTube, and
right.
It's like criminal, man. It's really criminal. This is like guys. In the end, you're gonna face a judgment. Okay, stealing is stealing. Okay, you download shit that you don't buy. It's robbing somebody, man. And the bullshit that there's some rich motherfucker, with and all that. That's a lot of crap. It's straight up, thievery. And,
right.
And what you're doing, if you're a film lover, is you're killing it. If you're a music lover, you're not giving the guys a chance to play, to do it.
Well, I never
I
understand.
don't
When I'm walking through Chinatown, that stuff is all out in the open. They're selling these things the day before it comes out. How come those guys never get busted for that?
Why don't they get busted? You tell me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I live downtown. I live in Chinatown, Little Italy, which is Yuppie Central, right?
Right.
Somebody, it's not 1975 in New York no more. Someone's get their apartment robbed, all right? The cops are there in a half hour. And believe me, you know, between the, you know, cameras on every corner and, you know, and these guys with a different point of view, they get results. You know, somebody steals my car, I got a great chance of getting it back. Somebody steals a $5 million movie or a $1 million movie I made, no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And it can't, you know, I mean, you know, as an artist, I mean, this goes for Steven Spielberg and more, and Disney as much as it does for
Sure.
the kids out there making, you know, in school, just out of school, not even affording school. I mean, you know, they're working, and if they're getting hits on a thing, somebody's got to, you know, hit them off.
Mm.
You know, they got to support, you know, that you know, they got to support everybody, including me. I mean, when I mean support is, okay, I'm not saying the government should fund you know.
Right.
I mean, I wish they did, but I can't imagine the United States. Not like, you know, in Europe, the government, you know, created like the German, you know, I mean, Fassbinder, Herzog, vendors, you know, they didn't just come out of the woodwork. You know, they came out of a government, you know,
Yeah.
sponsored kind of world there. Okay, okay, I understand, fine. But man, at least, you know, you got to get paid for what you people take.
Yeah.
That people want. If somebody doesn't want to see my film, fine. Then you know, I'll starve in the gutter. But if people are watching it, man, come on, you know.
Well, particularly for a guy like you who is going through each, I mean, you're collecting the money to bring it into this. You're writing the script, you're shooting it, you're editing it. I mean, this takes you.
Yeah,
all
well,
the-
everybody does that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not,
but
I'm not somebody
what I'm saying
special
is-
because I shoot it and edit and write it. I mean, it's
But I'm saying a lot of people don't have to worry about that because they get a corporation to drop them a giant check, and
I don't
you know they
think
come in
so.
with a
I
script.
mean, I wish. Tell me what corporation it is.
So
Then
you-
I'll go right. I mean, really. I mean, I
So-
don't see it like.
So you think that the way you're doing it would be just as rough as if you would have played the Hollywood game years ago? It would be just as
I
rough.
played
for
the
you.
Hollywood game.
Yeah.
You know, I was a millionaire for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I ended up in a you know, in a psychological. You know, I ended up in a very bad space. I mean, that's another story.
Right.
But I mean, you know, the thing about the Hollywood game and with the films I make is, you know, Final Cut is sacrosanct. You know, I mean, in other words, we work out of New York. Okay, we could went west to L.A., which we did, and you know, we did good work. I mean, I thought, you know, it was a lot of money, more money than we needed, and we suffered because of it. You know, and our morals got switched around, and our, you know, what was important got switched around for us. All right, but then we went east to Europe. You know, I lived in Rome for 4 or 5 years. Willem lives in Rome. He's married to a, you know, young, very good, really cool Italian director, right? But he went to Europe. I went to Europe, and all of a sudden, wow, where was this place all this time? Why was I so stupid not to realize a place where the director is, you know, respected? The idea of someone cutting your film, it's against the law. Never mind, you know, a producer really wouldn't think of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That idea is totally, you know, a West Coast, an American West Coast deal. You know, it's because you buy the Mona Lisa, don't give you the right to put a mustache on it.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? But you can't do it. So that idea of the director and how he works, that's that. If I would have, could you sell out? I don't know. I mean, there's no selling out when you make films because you have to have the final cut. You dig?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, whatever it takes to make a really great movie, you know, you give me 3 hours in an editing room, I'll destroy Citizen Kane. You know, and I've had my films completely, I'm not saying it's Citizen Kane, but I've had our work butchered.
Right.
You know, before I realized that Final Cut is sacrosanct. That there's no, you cannot make a film if you don't have Final Cut as a director.
Does it still kill you, some of these films that got fucked with? I mean, all these years later, do you wish you could go back and fix them, or are you able to let that
Yeah,
go?
no. Well, I mean, can you let it go? I mean, some days you can, some days you can't. Can we fix them? Yeah. Are there some cuts still floating around? Yeah. Or some, you know, but that's part of the game. You know, the films that weren't made. You know, I mean, just, you know.
What keeps you going with this? I mean, you're working just as hard as this as when
Pay
you're
the rent.
a young person. Is it really
Pay
just
the
about
rent, man.
paying the rent?
No, I mean it's part of it, but you got to pay the rent. I mean, somebody's
Yeah.
got you got to eat, right? I mean,
Right.
I'm not you know, independently wealthy, you know. It's what, what drove us right from the get, whatever it is in us that we have a talent, and
Right.
that's our talent, And the talent is to make films, right? And so, thank God we've gotten this far with it.
All right, the film is for Last Day on Earth. Go to On Demand and pick it up. Don't download this shit off torrent. Don't buy it from Chinatown.
So I'm gonna
guys.
find it. I'm gonna find torrent wherever you are, boys. We're gonna come busting in.
Jesus Christ, what could be scarier than you
that,
and your
right.
boys coming in there?
Yeah, right. He was a ranger in Vietnam, and he still got his weapons. But in New York, IFC, 6th Avenue, 3rd Street, 7 o'clock Friday. I'll be there. All our guys will be. Everybody be there. Shannon
You're going to
will
be
there.
talking after and setting
I'll
up?
be talking before, during, and after. And, we're all going to be there. And I don't have the list. Do they have the city list? I know it's
no,
LA.
just go to ifcfilms.com. They got everything online there.
Right,
IFC
it's there.
Films.
All right. Check
On
it out in the
Demand
movie
starts
theater.
March 23rd, and it's going to come out in some theaters.
Plenty
course,
of theaters. It'll be
in
in the
urban
theaters.
areas, but a lot of people listen to this. They're in, Des
Moines.
Yeah, they're in Des Moines.
Des
and they're
Moines is
like,
an urban area.
Yeah.
Check it out. Get in the car and drive. Or check it out. Get it on demand.
444
Make some
Last Day on
popcorn,
Earth.
hang out, roll a few now.
Abel, thanks so much for coming by, man.
Oh,
What
man,
a pleasure.
Guys, thank you very much.
All right.
Very cool here. Serious.
All right. See you next time, dude.
Ciao.
We're reliving Ron and Fez's favorite shows of 2012. And yes, this is one of them. Ron and Fez's half year in review continues next.
Yeah. Coming up towards the end of the show today. Ron and Fez show's on July 4th. Vacation. We're off this week. We're back Tuesday of next week. This is Ron and Fez's half year in review. I'm Pepper Hicks, producer for the Ron and Fez show, hosting them because you guys wouldn't be able to tell what's going on if I wasn't here in the first minute of the fucking segment. Coming up next, giant tire rolling down a hill. Now, you might not think that's very impressive, but these are one of the small things in life that we take for granted, but actually bring us more joy than anything that you can actually buy. We're going to go deeper into this subject of just a giant tire being rolled down a hill and some kids having an afternoon of a lifetime. That's coming up next on the best of Ron and Fez.
Ron and Fez.
We talk about the small moments in life. And for all the money in the world, you can't beat the small moments in life. That's why a picnic can be better than a 5-star restaurant. That's why throwing a Frisbee around might be better for you than taking a trip to Paris, because it's an unexpected small pleasure. And they say that money can't always buy it. Here's a case of some kids in a third world country with a giant truck tire. Now, it gets better because it's not just a giant truck tire, but it is a giant truck tire, a mountain, and a lake. I don't know if I even called the travel agent if I could get this, if I could book this experience for myself. But you see how much fun these kids have. And I guarantee you, these kids have got nothing else going for them than this one place where time meets opportunity. And I watched this thing over and over, admiring the fact that these guys are going to have this to share for the rest of their life. This is like what it must feel like when you win a championship, because they had a dream. Hey, let's roll this tire. We've all tried to roll a tire and it didn't work out well. Watch as this giant truck tire starts to head down the hill. Here they go.
Here it goes.
Now they're already happy that it's rolling.
Yeah.
Watch it hit this.
Oh.
Look how high that goes up. It hits again. The air it gets is phenomenal here.
Shit.
Now, I know, Fez, that you suffer from depression. Watch Giant Truck Tire, and I'm not even making this up, 3 times a day for the next week.
That seriously just made my day. I don't know how anybody could not watch that and not be...
It's fucking pure joy that you've put in a spoon, you fucking put the lighter to the end of the spoon, worked it through, and mainline. It's pure joy. But you say to yourself, how can I have some fucking fun? Because a lot of times you think to yourself, I can't have fun because I don't have a lot of money. These, I don't know what they're, Guatemala, some crazy shit. You can't beat Giant Truck Tire.
That was a hell of a run by that fucking tire. I mean, holy shit.
Now, not only is it a great run, but the fact that it just happens to be the right place with other little cliffs, and it picks up air, and it never loses its balance.
It goes higher and higher each time. It's
the only thing that would have been better is that if down on the water line, a woman was pushing a baby carriage, and it hit the baby carriage on the way in the water. Now, I guarantee you, 10, 20, 30 years ago, these guys would be sitting in some outdoor cafe drinking Tic Tac. They fucking bump into each other. They're like, and this is in Spanish, I'll do my best Spanish. Hey, remember that time with a Giant Truck Tire? Fuck, that was great.
Never got better than that.
Why didn't one of them get inside the Giant Truck Tire and ride this thing down?
Might throw the balance off.
Here is Josh. Josh, you're on Run and Fez.
Hey, Ron, how's it going? Hey, so my wife looked at me last night like I was retarded. I watched that video like 15 times, and I tried to explain it to her, and she just like did not understand. I mean, I broke it down like, wow, look how high the tire gets on the last jump. It gets a lot of air, and she's like, that's fucking stupid. Like,
You know
I tried
what?
to explain it to her, and she just didn't fucking get it at all.
All right, I have 2 theories for that. Number 1, maybe this matters more to males. Or 2, maybe your wife is dead inside because they pushed a Giant Truck Tire that built up speed, made 3 jumps, and then hit the water.
I don't mean to pry, but you...
I told her, I'm like, what if the tire would have tipped over halfway? Then it would have been ruined.
Yes, Josh. This is a miracle. It's a blessing, and it's everything that you want in life.
I'm sorry, I think you need to break up with her. She clearly doesn't understand. You guys can't connect on just a very basic level of enjoying a truck tire rolling down a hill.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have one more thing here. Like, we'll be driving, and like there'll be an old car like in the middle of the field. I'm like, at one point that car was brand new. Someone drove it off the lot. I'm like, how did it get here? And she's like, who fucking cares? I'm like, you know what I mean? How do things lead up to things? And she just thinks I'm fucking retarded.
See, you might be with the wrong person. Fred might be right because I totally get that. And to me, that is what life is about. Like, I remember like walking in the woods and then finding deep in the woods, not near any paths, there'd be a refrigerator. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you get to open it up, see if anything's inside.
But just how did the refrigerator get here? Who was behind this? Let's see aside this story.
Yeah, you guys are right. My wife and kids are really fucking holding me back here.
Leave.
You opened up my eyes, Fred.
Get out.
I need to get rid of this.
Put him in a tire and push him down a hill.
You know, I need to go back now and find the person who sent Giant Truck Tire to me, because so many people send us stuff to the wire. And Fezzi, that's why I tell you, don't get down when people bust your balls.
Mm-hmm.
But then don't also blame somebody who's my friend, because they're not, you know, just blame the person that it happened to and not everybody. Now, to get back to Giant Truck Tire, I got to find this person's name, because I now want to find the Giant Truck Tire in my life. I want to find the small things that make me happy.
We try and roll a tire down the building. Or is that...
I don't want to just copy off of
Oh,
that.
okay.
I'm talking about the metaphor. The metaphor is you and your buddies can do something small and stupid. You know, like when I remember when, me and my friends were kids, we fucking hitchhiked out to this place and we jumped off a dam into a reservoir. Jumped, not dove, wasn't perfect. You were scared pissless before you dropped. And I swear to God, I'll be laying down at night and I'll be thinking like, what a fucking day. Hitchhike all the way to fuck out there. I mean, this is pre-drinking age. We were like fucking kids.
Jesus, hitchhiking?
My parents, well, we always hitchhiked back then. My parents would have died. A, for hitchhiking. B, jumping off a reservoir. Jumping off a dam into a reservoir. Not only that, but we hung off the other side like, hey, what if I found, you know, all that shit that dumb kids do. But I actually will say this. I have a memory of that fucking day more than a lot of things that are considered professional or personal accomplishments. I think about those guys. I think about the insanity of jumping up that. We fucking, all three of us stood on a board while one guy walked out on the board and then tried to dive him board into the fucking water. It was amazing. And that's how I feel about Giant Truck Tire. It isn't the thing. By the way, Brett sent this to us. Brett, you get the Interrobang Gold Star today.
Oh,
and this is
shit.
the first time it's ever been given out.
Fuck, inaugural gold star.
For the people that find us the right good stories, send them to the editor at the Interrobang. Fez, what did you just take?
Huh?
What did you just put in your mouth?
Oh, no, I just scratched my lip.
I thought that you were having a heart attack again.
Uh-uh.
A lot of times when he's having a heart attack, he'll put a thing under his tongue, but he mouths it. He's like, I don't want anybody to see me having this heart attack.
Let us know if you have a heart attack, Fez.
Let's go over to Lou. Lou, you're on Run Fez.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hey, I heard you guys talking about the Giant Truck Tire story, and I remembered a event like when my friends and I were in high school. We came across a Giant Truck Tire. I actually thought it was like a giant industrial tractor tire, and we decided it'd be a good idea for one of my friends to climb inside of it and roll him down the hill. And me and my friend who was helping him get into it and everything, you know, noticed the tire had been outside for a long time. There's like rainwater and spiders and stuff inside of it, you know, but we were like, you know, this will be fun. We started rolling them down the hill, and then my other friend and I finally noticed like a log laying across the path of where this truck tire was headed. And it hit that log and shot up straight into the air. It sounded exactly like...
Thrilling. Just thrilling.
You guys were explaining this video, and we were laughing our asses off, and it landed and kept going down the hill.
And in its own way, it's a miracle. In its own way, it's like seeing a unicorn, and that's why I don't understand why people wouldn't get this. You know what I mean? Like, you will go into museums, the finest museums in the world, and not be as thrilled as you are watching Giant Truck Tire make jump after jump after jump. Because if you were an artist, you wouldn't be able to pull this off. It's luck. Luck fucking played. Look how they're high-fiving each other, and they're just fucking hugging like they won the Super Bowl.
Physicists couldn't pull this off.
Let's go over here to our buddy Hard Rock Johnny.
Ronnie, you are my Giant Truck Tire.
Oh, that's so nice.
It's just like, you know, I hear you and I get excited like those kids did when the truck tire went driving down the...
You're very nice, Johnny.
Down that mountain and splashed into that lake.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. What a high compliment. By the way, some of the people writing in on the thing that the Spanish word for sissy is Zito. I did not even know that. I did not even know that.
I don't know if that's true. It sounds
is.
like they might have made that up.
Johnny, are you going to be able to rest the next couple of weeks, or are you going to stay worried?
This first week is will be okay. I think next week it'll start to get a little, the anxious nerves start to build up. I tell you, I was looking into trying to go out for this thing, and it's like unbelievable how I found a hotel room in Indianapolis at the Super 8 for like it was like $495.
Rape. Just fucking rape. Now,
it's like
here's the thing that I read today, Zeitz, not to hurt your feelings. New England is not buying these tickets. New York is. And Rhode Island, out of all the things, was the less percentage of people buying. But it's going to be a Giants home game. And it's mainly because it's absolutely ridiculous expensive.
New Yorkers are ballers.
They're ballers.
And any locals will be cheering for Peyton's brother.
Doing a coin flip.
All right, thanks, Johnny.
All right, boys.
Bye. By the way, as you're saying, locals don't get into that fucking game. They get those tickets and they sell them.
They're working the
No
concessions.
local. You'd be a fucking idiot to fucking sit there and watch a game with two teams that you don't care about when you can sell those tickets for $8,000. You'd be a moron. Let's go over here to Richard. Richard, you're on the Fez.
Hey guys, I just checked out the video. How do you think those kids are going to get that tire out of that lake so they can do it again?
I don't think you can recreate that magic. Just let it exist as one moment in time.
Because if you did it 100 times, if you had engineers helping you, you wouldn't pull this off. The NASA guys couldn't have done this. This is what makes it the giant truck tire. And I do like hearing from people. A lot of people are commenting on this, but if you want to tell us what your giant truck tire story is, you can leave it on that. It's on the IB Wire on the iBang. It's fabulous. I want to thank Brett for sending it, because I did like the other caller. I watched it over and over last night, and every single time I watch, Hicks has had it on 6 times already.
I'm just fucking gazing. This is just amazing that this fucking tire made it.
Every time you watched it, you're like, I can't fucking believe. Now, the second time, you're like, look at the air. It's going down. That's the end of it. I'm already happy. Then it gets air again. And
bounces.
When it ends up in the water, you can't believe it.
It's fucking satisfying. And just to see it just fucking that big fucking explosion of water.
Because you can't figure it out here. That might be a quarter mile to that fucking water for all we can figure out. But if you'd like to put the comment out there and say, what is your giant truck tire, you can on the IB Wire now. And we'll talk about it tomorrow on the air. Somebody says, was that Buenos Aires? I thought the bugs nuked it. You know what? There's a time to sit around and talk about that movie.
They're rebuilding.
No. Dave, you're on Run of Fez.
Hey, Ron, how you doing? Hey, what I'm thinking is, if you got a chick you think might have potential, let her watch Giant Truck Tire, judge her reaction, and take it from there. Like that other guy was saying about his wife.
It is kind of true. It's almost like Bronx Tale when you see whether she'll fucking open up the door for you.
She's a selfish broad.
Get away from her as soon as you can. And when that black chick fucking unlocked the door for him, I was so fucking happy.
Oh, good. You deserve that.
And I'm like, she was just adorable in that movie too. You know, what, you like Italian guys at all?
There she is.
We got another thing up on the IB Wire that it's a dream of mine. Actually, this kid is too old. I always wanted to have somebody throw a baby out of the roof to me while the fucking building was on fire and be that dude. But there's a guy there. He caught this little fucking kid. This little fucking extreme kid tried to ride on the outside of the escalator. And then at the last moment, falls off. But you see him go out there. You see he's got no balance the whole way up as he's riding. He's a fucking moron. But, and then you see this dude comfortably making his way over. And you see it in this shot here. Okay. Here comes the kid. He's falling off. And the guy is right underneath him. And makes the catch.
Jesus.
Makes the Superman catch.
God, having a child, and they walk away.
Now,
oh my God,
I don't know what you guys believe about fate. I don't know what you believe about destiny. But that's a fucking time cup. And if you go back to the beginning of that, you see him just appear. This little kid riding on the outside is probably meant for greatness. He is going to be a person who becomes president of the United States of America. Oh my God. But this was the day that he was going to die, and a time cup had to appear out of nowhere. Look how the guy is on it before no one else is reacting.
He knows where he's going.
He knows where he's going.
He would have had to.
Because he's a time cop. Now you can believe in time travel.
Oh, shit.
He knew exactly when that kid was going to fall down, too.
Alan, you're on Run of Fez.
Hey, Ron. Hey, Fez. Hey, Pep. Hey, when I was young, we didn't have truck tires. We rolled rocks down the hill. And, man, when we used to get it going down the hill and they'd hit a creek at the bottom, it was the best shit in the world.
You know, I was out to dinner one night with this family, and they were Italian people. And the grandfather told this story about he was in World War II. And they were in the, kind of in the islands in the Philippines or whatever, clearing out those islands of Japanese fucking soldiers. And they were up in the hills above it, and him and his friends are walking point, and they find in the ground a shell that hadn't exploded yet. It had been shot there from a U.S. Destroyer or whatever, and just was planted into the ground, had one off. And they pulled it out and went over and threw it off a cliff to make it blow up. In the middle of World War II.
Just fucking saying a bomb home.
3 guys going, hey, what if we threw this off the cliff? It would blow up. And they all got in trouble for it and shit, and his family was appalled. But I was like, yeah, you don't think about those World War II guys were just kids, 17 and 18 years old, that were basically farm boys at that time. I mean, they didn't have a huge amount of street sense. And in the middle of the war, they still tried to find their own giant truck tire within.
You got to do it in war. It's a horrible thing. You got to find something to make you happy.
People are asking me, too, what is the Time Cop story under? It's not under Time Cop. What is the headline there?
Some kids should die but get saved.
I just decided now that that it was a time cop who saved him. I don't know that for sure. That's just theory. That's a working theory because it seems like the guy comes into the picture looking for the kid, looking for that exact moment.
What if he's in the same department as Van Damme?
There's only one fucking police department of time, and that's Time Cop. And all the links, of course, are posted on Twitter. All you gotta do is check out the iBang there. Hey, Carlos. Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, guys. Man, when you're a kid, it's a sense of discovery. When you see something like that, you're like, what the hell? How does that happen? Then you try to figure it out. Anyway, me and my buddies, we were in the 8th grade. We used to walk around in creeks. And then also we come upon this tunnel, and it looks dark. We said, what the fuck? So we go walking in, and this thing must have been a quarter-mile long. Couldn't see shit. We actually held each other's hands because we thought maybe we'd fall into a hole. But we went for it. We finally made it to the other side, and that was the funnest thing ever. We got back home. We thought about it. We went back there the next day. We did that the whole summer. Unbelievable.
It is amazing. I remember when I was in 6th grade, and this place, of course, doesn't exist anymore. It's all homes now. But it's in Boothwyn, PA, and it was called the Murtaugh Dairy. And it was like an old dairy farm where they actually had the milk and shipped it. So that it was like an abandoned farm, and then it was like an abandoned dairy where they would pasteurize. So we would go in there, and there was already like broken glass and everything in this old factory, but there were rollers where this would come out that the milk crates would come down. And me and my friends got in those fucking milk crates and were riding them down and would basically hit the floor at the end of it, just having the time of our life. Then we climb up on top of this thing on this old fucking tar roof. We're running around chasing. One of my friends' foot went through the tar roof. We had to pull him out. And we're just covered in fucking the tar from this roof. So by the time we got home, we're filthy. Our parents were freak. So we're running up one side of the roof and down the other, running up one side of the roof because it was a huge building, and I got up to one of the fucking peaks, and there was no other side. It was just went up to the half, and I had to do one of these things where,
what the fuck?
And I would have fallen like 60 fucking feet in the middle of my fucking stupidity.
Well, you don't know, there might have been a time cop at the bottom.
Not for me, dude. There's no greatness in my future. But when I think about, like, here you are, a little kid, you're in 6th grade, you're doing this shit that you don't think is dangerous, but I would never let a kid do if I was with Nell. But you know what I learned from that experience?
What's that?
Nothing. Because a child cannot learn things. They have a stupid, unformed fucking brain that nothing fucking happens. But why can you have these experiences when you're a kid and you stop finding them now? Why do we sit down and look at a giant truck tire, a mountain, a lake, magic? Why can't you find that experience for yourself today without going, I just spent $145,000 on a cigarette boat. I can go fast in it. Or fucking some crazy vacation that cost you a fortune where you're forcing yourself to have fun. Why can't you just have fun the way a kid can with a fucking truck tire?
Everyone's jaded, or as it seems as people get older, most people, they become even more and more jaded and cynical.
But maybe that's because you stop having new experiences. Maybe the thing is, it isn't a giant truck tire today. It's something else.
Yeah.
But we stop trying to. When you were a little kid, you were literally exploring the world. Now we travel. But when you were a kid, you were exploring the world.
You don't know shit. You have to. Almost, you know?
Because you know it's thrilling. You know it's thrilling to be on the planet Earth and not have anyone looking over your shoulders. You know what I mean? When you get away from your family, you get away from your parents, and you're out there doing stuff, it's fucking exciting.
That's why tourism always seems so boring. It's just like the set. You're supposed to do this. Like
be a traveler, not a tourist.
Yeah, you want to. People should explore more instead of planning their trips.
Because they're worried that if they go somewhere and they do something, they're missing something else. You know what I mean? Can I fucking quote you the Beatles right now?
Sure.
Oh, that magic feeling. Know where to go. That's the fucking key right there, man. You're just out there fucking making it fucking happen and not waiting for something to be delivered to you. Not having to buy it. You're not going to go anywhere fucking better than the planet Earth. You ain't.
No.
Why aren't you fucking enjoying it?
It's just a vacuum out there.
Really, the best experiences I've ever had in New York City is walking down the street and letting things happen. And every time that fucking happens, that I'm in the right fucking mood for it, it's the best. But when I'm like, oh, I want to go to this restaurant, or I want to make sure I see this event, then I'm worried about, oh, it's not the right table or this or that. It's so much better when you're just out there. Let's go over here to Josh. Josh, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and you can even go back to before a truck tire would impress you. I have a 6-month-old son, and I sit there and watch how impressed he is by just his own toes, and I'm like, why can't that be fun like it used to be? You know, to him that's the coolest thing in the world, but, you know, he doesn't even need a truck tire to have fun. He's got his toes.
You know, one of the funnest things to do is just like walk behind a toddler. Just walk behind him. And this is what kills you. See how many times he stops. He will fucking stop and check shit out. Turn stuff over. See what's under there. Put his fingers in the stuff. That's what's fucked up about being an adult. Is we act like a cocoon doesn't mean shit. I can't tell you the last time I saw a fucking cocoon. We were little. We were breaking shit open all the time. Sticking sticks in it. Trying to figure out, what the fuck is this?
Ron and Fez. Believe it or not, you just heard one of the best shows of 2012 so far. Hear it again tonight at 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific. And listen for more of Ron and Fez's half year in review every day this week on the Opie and Anthony channel.